Right, folks, this is a new podcast from the Two Mics, and I'm going to give you old Energy Boy, MG, to introduce it.
Yeah, we've edited out all the nonsense from Mike Porky Parry, so it might be a bit shorter than usual.
Ha, 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 ha.
I say pa. Do you? Pa. Really? Marvellous. He is Mike Parry, and I'm Mike Graham. This is Talk Sport. Do you want to hear my story about the chickens or not? This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics, and at the end of a very eventful Easter holiday weekend, here we are. Time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. A very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Yeah, very good morning to you, Mike, as well. And what a busy day it's been for people.
What a busy weekend.
Yeah,
I mean,
busy
some
weekend,
great stories. You know,
Yeah.
John Terry suddenly announced he's going to leave
That's what I
Chelsea. We get Gianfranco Zola announced he's going to leave Birmingham.
Well,
much
he's
to
done the right
relief
thing.
of a lot of Birmingham fans. We've got Chris Hughton being promoted once again to the Premier League, because, of course, famously he got promoted with them with Newcastle in the past. We've also, of course, got the Leeds United jinx, which you put on them on Saturday afternoon. A lot of Sheffield Wednesday fans thanking you profusely, as are many other people who are not that keen on Leeds United.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, you said that they were definitely coming up.
Yeah, well, I said I fancied them too. But, I mean, look, it's not all over yet.
No, it's not. What did
Could
I
still
say?
be there.
Which team did I say I fancied?
I don't think you did.
Yes, I did.
No, you
Come
don't
on.
usually commit
you know.
yourself.
You know.
No, don't.
Fulham.
Fulham?
I said Fulham.
Yeah, outsiders, yeah.
No,
they won
I
again
said,
today.
I said Fulham. Yeah, well, they're in the top six. They've replaced
Yes.
Leeds as the sixth team.
Yes, that's right.
So they're currently in playoff position.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
Albeit by only by goal difference.
Beat Villa 3-1.
They did indeed. Yeah, what happened to that? I thought Aston Villa were on the way up.
Well, they had a bit of revival. They have had a bit of revival, haven't they? Under
Well, they've had a
Steve
big
Bruce.
revival under Steve Bruce.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
But
yes.
they seem to be stuttering slightly. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. No, what I did say about Fulham was that if Fulham come up, I think it will be great news, because they will have the money behind them through our friends in Jacksonville, Florida, the Jacksonville Jaguars, to actually keep themselves up there.
The Jaguars.
Yeah. You have a good Easter?
Well, do you know what? Easter's only just over, isn't it? Because it was only just Easter Monday an hour ago.
Which is a funny sort of bank holiday, really, isn't it?
Funny sort of bank
I mean,
holiday.
most things were open today, I found.
Most things were open today.
Why are you just repeating what I'm saying?
Well, a lot of things were closed on Easter Sunday and on Good Friday. Yeah, I went to try and get a consignment of pills vital to me staying alive, right, on Easter.
A consignment of pills?
Yeah, on Easter.
Well, hang on. The last time you got a consignment, you look as if you had enough to choke a horse about 85 times over.
They only last a couple of months, each consignment. And
about 5 plastic bags.
Yeah, that's right. And I went to the chemist on Saturday. Right. That's Easter Saturday.
Have you got a recurring prescription that you don't have to keep getting?
Yes, I have, yes.
So you just turn up and they give you another 6 bags?
No, you have to put the prescription into the doctors, and then the doctors process it and send it to the chemist, and then you go and pick it up at the chemist.
Oh, so that had already been done then?
That's all been done, all that process. But so I didn't go there on Good Friday, because I thought, well, it'll be closed.
Yeah.
I went there on Easter Saturday.
Right.
And when I got there on Easter Saturday at 2 o'clock...
Open.
No, closed.
Well, the chemist was closed.
Yeah, the shutters were down.
Really?
And then I looked
what
at
sort of chemist is this?
I don't know. And then I looked at the schedule.
Yeah.
And it said it had been open on Good Friday.
Really?
Yeah. So then...
See, because I went shopping on Good Friday.
Right.
But I wanted to check, because I had to go to Canary Wharf.
Yes.
And I wanted to make sure that actually the shops were open. And they were.
They were, yeah, okay.
Everything was open.
So I get to the chemist, and it says, go to this other chemist if you're really desperate. But that other chemist doesn't have my prescription, so I couldn't get my tablets there.
Right.
And therefore...
But this must be a bit of a dodgy chemist you're using, because if it was a national chain, shall we say, without mentioning any names, it would have been open, no?
Well, I just can't understand how it could have been closed on Saturday. You know, people need vital, drugs.
Do you remember my story from the local chemist in my high street down in Sussex? Where I went in and they said, oh, yeah, well, you'll have to wait because the pharmacist has gone out. And they wouldn't sell me any Nurofen Plus on the grounds that I might overdose on it.
Yeah, might OD on it, yeah.
And I said, well, I said, where's the pharmacist? Oh, he's gone out for lunch.
Gone out for lunch.
I mean, what sort of a place are they running?
Don't know. Now, listen, what I was going to say is, so this is
anyway, so you're not like going to die or anything, are you?
Well, it's not a pleasant experience.
Do we need to prepare anything for the show, like get the defibrillator out or anything?
Every instinct in my body needs these pills, and I've at the moment I'm.
Well, when are you going to get them?
I'll get them tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow's Tuesday. It'll be open then. Anyway, so Easter's only just finished. Easter's only finished. But I have already started planning for next Easter. I've got a master plan.
What do you mean planning for next Easter?
What I'm going to do is, right, because I discovered this over the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to buy a rabbit, right?
I'll sell you one.
No,
I've got pictures. Actually, I've got pictures of rabbits in my garden.
Have you?
I was going to put them out.
Well, I'm going to buy a rabbit, but I'm not even going to keep it as a pet or anything.
Right.
I'm going to keep it at the rabbit hutchery or whatever it's called. You know what I mean?
Another one of these rabbit charities.
Yeah, no, like a rabbit sort of breeding farm or something.
They don't have rabbit breeding farms.
Yeah, they do. And
they don't need breeding farms. They just breed.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a prize rabbit, right? I'm going to take it to some shows.
You
and
have
all
to make
that
it a
stuff.
huge rabbit. In that
Yeah,
case.
that's right. Yeah,
You know.
and then
Thumper.
yeah, that's right. And then in the run up to next Easter,
Yeah. What are you going to slaughter it and eat it?
no, I'm going to hire it out to people who want pictures of bunny rabbits at Easter. You get £1,000 a shoot.
What?
Yes.
Says who?
It says
Where have
me.
you read this rubbish?
I've seen the report. I
Well,
saw
I've
the
got-
report.
I've got like hundreds of rabbits in my garden.
Yeah, but they're not
literally.
your rabbits. They're wild rabbits.
Well, yeah, but I could lift one up if somebody wants to have a picture taken.
No.
with it.
I'm going to get a real,
Where are you
class
going to get
rabbit.
this rabbit from?
From some, like you got your dog from allegedly from some good dog breeder, right?
From a dog breeder,
Yeah,
not
well,
allegedly. No,
yeah, I'll
Well,
get-
They have what you call pedigree certificates.
Yeah, well, I'll get mine from a good rabbit place,
A good rabbit place.
Yeah,
Well, perhaps we should
yeah.
ask people if they know of
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
If you're listening right now to
Yeah.
Mr. Parry's mad ramblings,
No,
of
they're
what he
not.
wants to do for next Easter, he wants to get himself a bunny rabbit.
Yes.
If you know of any good rabbit places,
Yeah.
perhaps you could tweet them in
Please.
at the two mics.
Please.
Or send them in at IROMG or at Talk Sport.
I'd like to know. I really would like to know.
I
Be
think you're
great.
being rather sort of, shall we say, commercially minded about
Mercenary?
Easter. Don't you think that Easter's supposed to be, a sort of Christian
Well,
celebration?
it is very much. And
Did you go to church?
I didn't make it this year. I'm
Didn't
afraid.
make it?
No.
Oh, why not?
Well, family responsibilities.
Well, were you too busy?
Well, I was working with you on Saturday.
Well,
so couldn't
briefly,
go.
we finished work at 1 o'clock.
Well, I couldn't go to church on
1
Saturday.
o'clock? Well, you could have gone to Evensong.
I couldn't on Sunday. I was travelling down to Bournemouth
Oh, yeah.
to be in the bosom of my family.
What time did you get there?
Time did I get there?
Yeah.
About 11 o'clock.
About 11. I mean,
Yeah.
you're usually up at 5, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, I was up very early. I was in Gosport, you see, so
Oh, right.
I had business to
Oh, well,
sort
it's
out
only
there.
takes you about an hour and a half then from there, isn't it?
No, it's an hour. Just
So an hour.
Yeah,
So
that's
why
all,
didn't you
yeah.
get there earlier? Go to church.
Well, I couldn't fit it in. And, of course, Good Friday, we were, kind of working, weren't we? So I couldn't get there then. So there we are, But that doesn't matter. I
you
mean,
had a good family sort of Sunday lunch scenario?
yes, it was very
Did
good.
you have
thank
lamb
Lamb, yes.
or rabbit?
I think we had beef, actually.
Beef?
Yes, beef, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely beef. Yeah. So that was all good.
We had a very good slow-cooked lamb yesterday.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
great. Sounds really good
And I
indeed.
put some good pictures out of it.
Now,
Did you see them?
um,
well, excuse me, I'm talking
sorry.
about what I had.
Oh, did you? Yeah, okay, yeah.
Did you not see the pictures I put out?
No, I didn't actually.
Did
no,
you?
no.
Because what we did was we had a leg of lamb.
Oh, yes.
Right, and I punctured it with a knife, put little bits of garlic and rosemary in it.
Yes.
Rubbed some olive oil over it.
Excellent.
Salt and pepper.
Excellent.
And cooked it for 5 and a bit hours.
Well, that sounds brilliant. Well done.
It was
Well
very
done.
good.
Well done.
Very good indeed.
Now, Gianfranco Zola, right?
Yeah.
What a ridiculous appointment that was. I mean, the most
Do you want me
ridiculous
to tell you anything else
appointment.
about what I got up to the weekend?
Oh, what else have you got up to?
Well, so all
Do you
sorts
think
of
the
things.
audience are interested? I mean,
I think they are, yeah. Well, they're certainly more interested than you are.
Okay,
I
what
mean,
else
you
you got
might
up
as well
to
be
then?
talking to a complete and utter
No,
cipher.
no.
Let's talk about something I want to talk about.
No, not
I
at
mean,
all.
That's all
but,
we do.
But, I do
I
think
went
that
to the cinema today for the first time in ages.
Did you see that film by Jason Statham?
It's
or
not by
starring-
Jason Statham.
starring
He's in it. I saw. Yeah, I did see Fast and Furious 8.
Yeah, because that's got fantastic reviews
Very
in the
good.
papers.
Yeah, very good.
Our pal at the Mail, Brian Viner.
Your pal.
Yeah,
Not
who-
my pal.
Oh, isn't he?
No.
Oh, really?
No.
I thought he was.
Well, I wouldn't say that. He's your pal.
He's definitely my
We've
pal.
had him
yeah.
on the show.
And
Well, he's a fellow Evertonian.
He is, yeah.
You're the one that knows
You're
him.
right, yeah. And
I've only met him once.
He gave it a great rating, said it was real, action, all that. Now,
Well,
I've
it's all
always thought-
action. It's all action. It's all about many women, scantily clad women,
Right.
writhing about, and a lot of car chases,
Right.
and lots of fighting.
Yes,
so it's
okay.
a sort of macho film, really.
Okay, that's good, because that's the sort of film that Jason Statham does, and I always thought he was a bit sort of two-dimensional, but according to all the reviews I've read, he's actually excellent in this film.
Well, the thing is, it's a franchise.
He's made a name for
have you ever
himself.
seen any of them?
No. Is it good?
Well, I mean, it's the 8th one.
Is it all about car chases,
It's
every
all
film?
Well, it's mostly. I mean, there's car chases in every film,
Right,
And I
okay.
mean, the thing is that it's become slightly more than that because
Yes.
you can't just make every film about a car chase.
No, of course
so
not.
there's a sort of story around it. And this one's a bit more of an adventure,
Right.
It's got Russians involved. It's got
Okay.
cyber criminals involved.
Russians, eh?
Helen
Ooh,
Mirren's in it as well.
Yeah. I mean,
Plays Jason's mum.
you could have art imitating life the way things are going, because the
Well,
Russians are going to get involved in quite a lot of things,
I'm happy
aren't
to
they?
say that after our show on Saturday, we have not yet seen the sort of outbreak of World War III.
No, we haven't, no.
But it's still going on. We might have to go talk to somebody in China later on this week.
Yes, we definitely will.
What do you think?
I reading all the reports over the weekend in the detailed sort of Sunday newspaper analysis and all that.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Trump believes that in one strike he could wipe out all of the nuclear facilities that North Korea are trying to build up.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure they've actually got any, have they? I mean,
Well,
they tried to fire
nobody
a missile.
knows.
They tried to
No.
fire a missile the other day,
Yeah.
and it went straight to the sea like they all do.
But have you seen the latest theory on why that blew up?
Why?
It was intercepted by the Americans
It was
just
hacked.
after launch.
Well, that's not the
Yeah.
latest theory. That was the theory that was going around 2 days ago.
No. What I'm saying is, it means that what's his name again? Kim Il-jung. What's his
Kim
name?
Il-jung, yeah. Why can't you remember his name?
I don't know.
The most dangerous man in the world.
Most dangerous man in the world,
You didn't get his name right.
The world's...
Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un.
Yeah.
What it means is Kim Jong-un might now be terrified of ever launching a missile again.
Yeah.
Because if he thinks that the Americans have infiltrated his system, it means every time he tries to launch a missile, he gets more humiliated in world eyes because it'll blow
Well,
up.
maybe eventually he'll get one right.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
also, he's doing a lot of this for his own internal consumption, isn't he? He's
Oh,
saying to
absolutely.
people, basically,
Yeah.
I'll put these out when I want to.
Yeah.
How about this from Becky?
Right.
Why does Porky want a rabbit? Surely a rat is more fitting for his personality.
What?
People will be queuing up to take his photo.
Porky
and his rat.
That's
That'd be
outrageous.
great.
I haven't got. I'm not a rat.
Yes, you are.
I'm not.
You've said before that you've revelled in the fact that you've used rat-like cunning in your career.
Rat-like cunning is different to being a rat. It's having the cunning of a rat without the appearance of a rat. You don't If I was to be compared to any animal, it would have to be the bear, wouldn't it? Because I am smarter than the average bear.
Well, then you're not the bear, are you? You're a rat.
Smarter than the average bear, mate.
Smarter than the average rat. This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
What do you want to be? Do you really want to be? I really want to be what I really want to be. Oh, I really, 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 really want to be. You know, what do you want to be? Do you really want to be? All that kind of stuff. Want to be?
Really want to zig a zig.
When I go on the stage now, I go on the stage to try and keep you under control in the Two Mics live show.
Yeah,
I don't go on stage to prance around the microphone and start singing, you know.
That's exactly what you do.
Want to be?
Are you going to sing along to this then?
Well,
Where have they found this from?
really.
This is for the real words.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry? Where's this from? I don't even remember doing this.
Well, you don't remember doing much, do you, to be honest?
I want what you really, really want. I really want.
There's so many things have been sort of hidden away in an archive.
That's right.
That could be instantly recalled.
Yeah,
now,
but-
I've got a great tweet here.
Well, do you know why we're playing that, do you?
No, I don't.
It's Victoria's birthday.
Victoria who?
Beckham, of course.
Oh, right.
Like, you know, posh.
Posh.
Posh Becks.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's a bit early for that sort of thing, isn't it?
Why?
Well, normally we think about musicians and their birthdays a bit later into the show.
It's a landmark, mate. It's her 43rd birthday.
43.
Is it 43? I think she's 43.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You're the one that told me it was her birthday.
Yeah, exactly.
How about this
Yeah.
from Del Cell?
Mm-hmm. No, 46. She's 46.
She's 46.
46,
Okay.
yeah.
That's the height of optimism. Parry planning for next Easter while running out of pills to keep him alive.
yeah. That's a good point.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
Paul says, enough pills to choke a horse. Brilliant, MG. Porky's not very clever running out of pills over Easter weekend.
No,
I thought he was organised.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I am usually organised, you know.
And Nat says Porky needs to get with the times with his prescription ordering. He needs to call local prescription ordering service. It's quicker.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll think about that in future. Thank you very much indeed.
Gavin
for
says, ask Chaz and Dave where to get a rabbit. They always mention them in their songs.
Yeah, rabbit.
And Alan says, cliffhanger of a start to the programme, chaps. I'm surprised the closed chemist never made the ITV news.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, you know, who knows?
I mean,
It
considering
could have
that, you know, Birmingham have lost another manager, John Terry has announced that he's leaving Chelsea at a very strange time. I want to ask you about the timing of this. Because you said earlier when we were talking to Andy and to Darren Lewis that you said it was an interesting time for him to announce it.
Indeed.
Do you think it's him that's announced it, or do you think it's Chelsea and him that have announced it at the same time? Because I'm not sure. It's not a trick question. I just don't know.
No, well, I don't either. But the information has not been challenged. I mean, it's emerged and been written about. John Terry will listen to offers from Premier League clubs as he seeks to extend his playing career.
Yeah.
As many as 10 inquiries for him in January. He's maintained he wanted to finish his career at Stamford Bridge and said he would find it difficult to play against a team who he's represented 713 times.
Yeah.
But he's barely played this season.
But you see, people have now started questioning the timing of it and said, isn't this a bad time for John Terry to come out and say something like this? Because Chelsea, having lost at the weekend, are now only 4 points ahead of Tottenham,
well, exactly.
playing them in the FA Cup semi-final at the
right.
weekend.
That's right.
Surely this is a time when they would want to embrace John Terry and his captain's skills, even if he's not playing.
Yes, but I think what John Terry may have done. John Terry's a very clever man. I mean, he's always known his worth at Chelsea and the weight of his presence there. You know, he really was the old captain, leader, and all that kind of stuff, legend. And it could just be that Mr. Conte, the Chelsea manager, is thinking, crikey, how am I going to steady this ship? You know, we're rocking a bit. We've got beaten by Manchester United. Spurs are in better form than we are at the moment.
And very subdued Mr. Conte on the touchline at the weekend.
That's right, that's right. So is he going to say, look, I'll tell you what we can do.
Yeah.
Let's put the legend back into the defence. That might just steady things. It might stop things.
What, do you see this as a sort of a beginning of the story then, that John Terry announces that he's leaving at the end of the season?
Yes.
Suddenly, all hell breaks loose and everybody says, oh, we can't do that. We'll have to get him back in the team.
Well, you know, Sir Alex Ferguson timed it like that once, didn't he? Announced that he was leaving at the end of the season or something, hadn't had an approach and all that. Bang, all of a sudden everybody gets into gear and he was there another 7 years.
Sure.
So these sort of things can happen in football if you know how to play the game.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
But it's a very strange, it just seems a very odd time to make the announcement, almost as though, I don't know if there's any brinkmanship going on, whether he's trying to get him, because he has said in the past that he wouldn't want to play for another Premier League team.
Yeah.
But he's now suggesting, or his people are suggesting, that he might think about doing that. And,
Yes.
we heard an Arsenal fan, funnily enough, on the Sports Bar earlier, saying, well, we'd love to get John Terry at Arsenal, where we haven't got any leaders.
Yeah. Well,
Can you imagine him playing for Arsenal? I can't.
No, I can't either. I can't imagine him going across London to do that. West Brom's been mentioned, but again, he says he would have a problem after, playing for Chelsea over 700 times, to line up against Chelsea, and I can understand that.
Yeah. You remember, Frank Lampard's been mentioned. Remember when he played for Manchester City?
Yes.
When he was originally supposed to be going to New York and then
Yes.
suddenly came back on loan to Manchester City?
Yep.
Because it turned out that he'd actually signed a contract with Manchester City.
But I think Frank Lampard was quite annoyed by his exit from Chelsea, if you see what I mean. He was sort of pushed out.
Whereas but don't you think John Terry might be the same?
I don't think so. I think John Terry's being treated with great dignity by the club and being told, make up your own mind what you want to do.
Yeah, but they've also told him he's not really in their plans, haven't they?
They've got to tell him that. Mr. Conte's got to be honest and say, look, I'm not going to be picking you as a first-team choice anymore, and then give John Terry the option on what to do.
Yeah.
With Frank Lampard, I think it was made clear, look, I think you'd be better off leaving, you know what I mean?
Right.
And therefore he had a point to prove.
Backpage of the Daily Mail's got Terry's plea.
Yes.
He wants to play on in the Premier after Chelsea exits. So,
that's right.
He thinks he's got more to offer. I'm not sure if he does actually physically have more to offer, but certainly as a captain, as a sort of, inspirational figure in the dressing room, you would want him around, wouldn't you?
Of course you would. Well, would you? Would you? No, I don't know. Could John Terry, because of his immense presence at Chelsea, be like a bed blocker for other people who want to emerge as leaders? You know what I mean?
At Chelsea?
Yes.
Yes. Well, you mean that's why they want to move him on?
Maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. But
because somebody else has got to fill that vacuum.
But I don't know who does fill that vacuum, because there isn't really anybody like him in the team, is there?
No, there's nobody with the same sort of presence, image, if you want. You know what I mean? The same sort of position. No, I totally agree.
Now, meanwhile, your friend Chris Hughton, who I don't know whether you're your friend, but Brighton have done terribly well.
They have.
And you were saying only on Friday morning, I think it was,
Yeah.
how much fun it would be for you to be able to go and watch Brighton in the Premier League because of their proximity to your place on the south coast.
That's absolutely right. And do you know what? I saw a bit of video tonight, which was put out by our esteemed award-winning newsreader, Robin Schönhofer, right?
Robin Schönhofer.
That's the one.
You've been working here for 20-odd years.
Robin Schönhofer.
And so has she.
And it showed celebrations, and amongst those celebrations was another member of our staff, Kay. Did you see it?
I didn't know.
Kay jumping up and down on the in the seating and all
Where
that.
Where are you saying you saw all this?
I saw this on the social media this afternoon.
Oh, right.
In the wake
did they tweet it out?
Yes, they did. Yes,
okay.
That's right.
I'll have to go back and look for that.
Yes, that's right. And so we've got some very happy people in this office who are Brighton-based people.
Yes.
So I said to
There's
Robin,
Elliot Cook as well, of course.
Hey?
Elliot Cook.
Elliot Cook?
Yes.
Who's he?
He's one of our newsreaders.
Oh, is he? Right,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Does an awful lot of match reports as well.
Good for him. Yeah, he's a good lad.
You used to see him in here all the time.
He's a good lad. I like him.
Of course,
now, what I was going to say is that I replied to Robin and said, when Everton come to town,
I saw that tweet from
lunch
you.
is on me at the Grand.
I saw that, and she didn't respond.
She did. She liked it, and she gave it a like.
She didn't respond.
Well, I didn't expect her to respond. What she's supposed to say? Oh, that will be great, Mike.
It'd be like the time you tried to bring her a shirt.
I did bring her a shirt. In the end, but it took months to
Yeah, but she didn't want you to come and drop it off at her house, did she?
Well, I don't blame her, I
don't blame her either. That was what you tried to do.
I never go to Brighton. No, I didn't. No.
You offered to take it to her house.
No, I didn't.
You told me the story.
No, I don't know where you got that from. I was always going to bring it into the studio here and leave it for here, which I did. And but now I have to extend that invitation, of course, to Kay.
And what invitation? I mean, what is this place you're talking about?
Who's one of our sort of managerial executives. Yeah. That's right. And
you don't upset Kay.
I don't upset Kay.
No.
And so I will.
She'll mark your card for you.
She certainly will.
Yeah.
I will offer to take both of those esteemed ladies out to lunch on the day Everton are playing in Brighton.
And where is this place you're talking about taking them?
The Grand.
The Grand?
Yeah.
Oh, the Grand Hotel in Brighton.
Do you remember it? It got blown up once.
Yes, I do remember it.
It was very famous.
Why do you take to a place that's been blown up?
Well, it's the best place in Brighton.
No, it's not the best place in Brighton at all.
It is.
No, rubbish.
It is.
It's an old-fashioned hotel,
which
was formerly very grand, but is now not so much.
Well, Brighton people like it if they live there, and it's a sign of my esteem for my colleagues, and I'll be taking them and buying them lunch there. Yes, okay. Very sure.
Julia sent me a little picture of an Ann Summers sign, says, this is a good place to buy a rabbit.
Oh, that's disgraceful. This is a family show, and really, I don't want to, I don't want to
What?
get involved in those sort of smutty connotations, please.
I agree with you.
Okay?
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yes.
It won't stop beating that heart in your chest.
Yes.
Says Steve the cabbie. The rabbit will not stop beating that heart in your chest.
Yes. What?
The rabbit. The rabbit. If you get a pet rabbit,
Oh, I see.
it's not going to help you.
No, but I won't even see the rabbit. The rabbit will be bred for commercial purposes only, for me to hire out at £1,000 a time to take pictures next Easter.
Okay.
It's quite as simple as that.
All right.
Now, we should
Paul
be talking...
says this, Porky Victoria Beckham is not 46 years old.
She's 43 then.
Well, which is it?
Well, I'm not sure, but I'm going to double check
Well, hang on. If you're celebrating her birthday,
Yes.
you should know how old she is.
Yes, I should.
Or should you not
Well,
really
I knew it was her
reveal it?
birthday. Well, you don't really generally dwell on ladies' birthdays, do you?
40-something, you could
40-something, yeah. 40 plus, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of ladies, in your words, would stop at 39, in fact.
Well, I'll tell you who I keep seeing pictures of in the paper, Nancy Delolio.
Nancy Delolio.
Delolio, yeah. Used to be Sven's
who's she with
partner.
now?
Well, I don't think she's with anybody. She did have I think she had some sort of a friendship with Trevor Nunn, the theatre impresario.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think that's ongoing. And I saw a picture of her in a dress that, to me, looked a bit of a mess. But I'm not a fashion expert.
You're certainly not a fashion expert.
But she said,
Thanks for letting us know.
She said that she'd made it herself, right?
She'd made it herself?
Yeah.
I mean, she means she's designed it herself.
No, she actually sewed it
She
together.
sewed it together?
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
I thought she was a lawyer.
Well, that's an interesting thing about Nancy. I've never seen her practising law. I mean, she was described as a lawyer when she first came here with Sven 20 years ago. And everybody thought she'd set up in chambers in London. Yeah. But I don't think she ever had.
She set up in his chambers.
Yeah, he said, well, she had to be thrown out of his house in the end when they split up. He had to get an order.
He lost most of his property portfolio anyway. He did that terrible investment he made, didn't he?
Some guy who called himself his accountant suddenly whipped off with about 12 million quid. Sven reportedly had to sell his farm and huge estate in Sweden.
Yeah.
On the island.
I know.
And had to go. Because
that's why he's had to go to China and make another few million quid to make sure that he can remain in the style to which he's become accustomed.
Yeah, well, 1 minute I had £12 million and the next minute I had nothing.
The next minute I turned into Louis van Gaal.
Yeah, that's right,
Nick says this, Porky sounds like the man being distracted by a naked cleaner polishing his microphone. Do keep taking the pills.
What? What's that?
Says you sound distracted.
No, I'm not distracted at all.
Oh, that's the main thing.
Not distracted at all. I'm just trying to get down to the basics of the Gianfranco Zola situation.
Yeah, I think we need to
It's the most disgraceful...
We need to ask serious questions of the Birmingham board, do we not?
Absolutely. Most disgraceful managerial appointment in history.
I mean, who are they going to go for next? Tony Adams?
Yeah, maybe. I've seen Tony Adams dancing when he was training.
I've
got to teach the forwards how to defend. No, defenders are supposed to defend and forwards are supposed to score goals, Tony.
He hasn't quite got that right.
Even I know that.
This is TalkSport.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. TalkSport.
Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as hoes. Yeah, but maybe.
This is TalkSport. We are the two mics. Of course, there will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on, and Heroes and Villains coming up too. Tomorrow, of course, is Ask Porky, and then Porky Vision on Wednesday. I'm not sure if you know this, you probably do, but the final episode of Broadchurch aired just a few hours ago.
Oh, yes.
And I have to tell you,
I'm right on top of
very
it.
disappointingly, I didn't watch it, right?
Yes.
Because I wasn't able to.
Yes.
However, I've already read in an online piece of journalism who the killer is.
Well.
Or the rapist, rather.
Well, I've seen it, so I know. So
You've seen it?
I'm saying nothing, yeah.
Good. Well, I'm glad you're not giving it away. Because don't forget, there'll be a lot of people, including... I'm going to try and forget what I've read, okay?
Forget what you've read. Good idea.
So that by the time I look at it, which will probably be next Friday, that'll be okay.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Now, also, how about this for something that you may have overlooked from Nathan in Maidstone?
Yeah.
I feel completely dismayed as you have not yet acknowledged that on this date, 62 years ago, the death of the great Albert Einstein happened.
Right.
How can you guys not acknowledge this genius?
Is that right?
Now, considering that you've told us already that it's Posh Spice's birthday.
That's right.
I'm a bit dismayed myself that you didn't point out Mr. Einstein's death.
Well, is it terribly significant? Einstein.
Albert Einstein?
Death? Yeah.
Well, of course it's significant.
Well, it's
more significant than Posh Spice's birthday.
It's significant.
Isn't it?
Eh?
It's more significant than Posh Spice's birthday.
Not to the majority of people who listen to this
Rubbish.
show. No.
It's absolute rubbish.
Nobody could care less on which day
All right, let
Albert
me see.
Einstein died.
On the one hand, there's
Yeah.
if you want to be my lover. On the other hand,
Yes.
there's E equals MC squared and the theory of relativity.
Yes.
I don't know which one I like more.
Well, I'm only talking about the audience who listen to this show. They much prefer to know that
No, well, that's how you don't know the audience then. The audience on this show would
Yes.
much rather hear about Albert Einstein.
Posh Spice.
I promise you.
Posh Spice is no longer, one of the old. What are they called? The
What?
What was the group called?
Spice Girls.
Spice Girls. Yeah,
just mentioned it.
Yeah, that's right. She's not. She's not a Spice Girl anymore. She is now a Spice Woman and moving into her
Spice Woman?
40s. That will fascinate a lot of people because you've got to
Why?
remember.
Well, it fascinates you, obviously.
Yeah, well, most people judge their lives by the age of those around them.
You
know
do.
what I mean?
You do.
No, they do. And when you say, for instance, when I read earlier on today that Julian Lennon, is getting together with his younger brother, to
Who's his younger brother? Sean
Lennon. That's right. Yeah, by two different mothers, obviously, Yoko Ono and Cynthia Lennon.
Yeah, we did his birthday the other day, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, when you read that Julian Lennon brackets 54 is to get together with his younger brother, Sean Lennon brackets 41, you think, crikey, the decades are moving on. If Julian Lennon's 54...
no, that's what you think.
Yes.
That's not what everyone thinks.
I think it is.
People like to commemorate the births and deaths of people who have had massive influence over society and over the way that we live. And if you don't think Albert Einstein is one of those people, then I'm very sorry for you. I mean, even you, in all of your absolute and utter sort of Philistinism, managed to quote Albert Einstein in your book about Wayne Rooney.
I do, because I got a Cambridge professor to confirm to me that,
that's why I would have thought
Rooney's brain was more efficient than Einstein's.
Yeah, well, that's why I would have thought you would have been hailing the celebration of,
Well, so many things happen on days in history. I mean, for instance, I bet you didn't know that today is the anniversary also of the very famous 1906 earthquake in San Francisco, the original one.
I didn't actually
that killed 3,000 people.
No, but I did
so
go
I can't,
to the...
I can't keep the audience informed on every event that's ever happened in the history of the world over the past 2,000 years.
No, you don't have to do that. What I would suggest, though, is that when you are looking down the births, deaths and marriages column, that if you see Albert Einstein and Posh Spice, maybe one of them is worth a mention rather than the other.
Well, I still think the Posh Spice is more relevant, but anyway, I'm prepared to let you have your say.
Well,
on
she
that
doesn't.
one.
She doesn't figure in your Wayne Rooney book, does she?
No, she doesn't actually. No.
So I mean, you missed a trick there. Apart from anything else, I mean, you could have promoted your own crappy book in the same breath.
Well, I mean, she is linked, isn't she? In the sense that she was married to David Beckham, who was Manchester United star player. The team to which Wayne Rooney moved.
Yes.
Yeah, so it all links together.
So it all links together. Mark says this: the church wouldn't let Porky in case he asked for a whip round for himself.
That's a bit harsh.
That's Mark in Chadwell Heath.
That is very harsh.
Do you not come in that way? How was your journey in tonight, by the way?
Say again?
How was your journey in tonight? Chadwell Heath, do you not come in that way?
No, I don't know. Chadwell Heath's in Essex, I think, isn't it?
Is it?
I think so.
I thought it was in Surrey. I thought it was down sort of past Thornton Heath.
No, it's not. No, definitely not.
Right, Steve says this is a family show, but Porky uses Rogerisation at every opportunity during the show.
Well, no. I think what you'll find is that I temper conversations about human relations by using sort of oblique terms. You see what I mean? Yeah.
Oblique terms.
Yeah. Right. On the journey in tonight, it was quite good because it was still Easter Monday.
So bank holiday type traffic.
But pretty quiet. But you know what?
Well, I'll tell you what I saw when I went out to the cinema earlier on in this afternoon. I went out to Eastbourne, in fact.
Okay.
And there was massive traffic jams all over the place because why? People were leaving the south coast with caravans and driving, back towards London. And so there was traffic everywhere.
Don't get me going on caravans.
You're not a fan?
No, not at all.
We used to have one.
That was a static one.
You had the refreshment caravan in North Wales.
I did, actually, yes, that's right. But that was a static
Stand
caravan.
by your beds.
No, caravans blocking. The strange thing is, on the journey in tonight, which can normally take, just half an hour or something, I got stuck behind 3 individual drivers who did not drive at more than 28 miles an hour.
That's what happens now.
And it was so frustrating because
was this on the open road, as it were?
On the open road,
right?
But it was only single traffic each way, so you don't really want to overtake people on those sort of roads in suburbia because it's not the done thing.
It's dangerous, also dangerous, and also there might be a police officer hiding behind a corner.
Exactly. Yeah. So I just kept urging them. Only in my own head. I wasn't flashing my lights or anything anything like that. But I thought, why are you driving so slowly, you moron? I said, there's 4 miles of road ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what, in London now, right?
Yeah.
Because they've got 20 everywhere as the speed limit.
Yeah.
A lot of people now drive at about 15 or 16.
Yeah, but this was like coming up from Surrey into London, and I just couldn't believe it. Why are you driving so slow? It's Easter Monday night. There's nobody about.
Yeah.
The roads are empty. Why are you crawling along like this, you half-baked? Put your foot in the accelerator and move.
It probably comes back to my 1 minute moan on Saturday,
yes,
which is all about people reading their sat-navs every 5 minutes.
Well,
yeah. They're now putting that into the driving test.
Yeah, could be.
Now, a couple of people have got something to say about Posh Spice and Einstein.
Right.
Steve says, why don't you put out a quick poll between Einstein and Posh Spice to see the difference? Should we do that?
Yes, please.
Should we do a Twitter poll?
That's a very good idea, yeah.
Who would you rather talk about? Exactly, MG, says Todd. Porky thinks we're all Spice Girls fans. What a plank.
No.
And Kevin North Shield says, tell Porky I couldn't give a monkeys about Posh Spice, but I am enjoying the show.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I hope you're enjoying the show. That's great. But, I'm sorry, but you see, I think people underrate Posh Spice because she was, in fact, part of an incredible cultural heritage through the 90s.
Yeah.
Because when the Spice Girls burst onto the scene, they did become the most popular girl band in the history of music. And we shouldn't forget that. And she was part of it, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And there are many, many people now who are too young to remember when she was a singer.
Yes.
And who are not very interested in the fact that she's now, as far as everybody really is concerned, Mrs. Victoria Beckham.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's one here, look, this is a bit unfair. It says, so old Mike Parry, right, isn't content making a fat wedge as a slum landlord, which is something that you tell people, which is completely untrue.
Well, how many properties do you own?
I'm not. It doesn't matter.
It's
matter. Irrelevant. It says he has to now make more cash by exploiting a poor rabbit. This man is shameless. By the way, I saw a report over the bank holiday weekend that the urban fox is now becoming so confident about living amongst people, and now so populous that something serious is going to have to be done.
Well, I see more foxes in the town now than I do in the countryside, okay? I see maybe one fox in the entire weekend that I'm down in Sussex. When I'm in London, I see about 5 a day.
Well, the road that approaches the Old Vic Theatre, which we passed before we come onto the Cut.
Right. What, you mean coming from where?
Well, you're passing Waterloo Station on your left, and you go to that junction, and the Old
Waterloo
Vic
Station on your right.
No, it's on your left as you're coming into the office, and the Old Vic is on the opposite corner on the right. You see what I mean?
Yeah, but
junction,
I'm not going to argue with you. I know what you mean.
Yeah. I had to stop to let a fox cross the road.
Right. Why did you stop?
Sorry?
What did you stop for?
To let the fox cross the road.
You don't need to stop for a fox.
Well, I'm not going to mow a fox down.
Well, you don't have to mow him down.
And mow a defenceless animal down. It was in the road.
One, it's not a defenceless animal, right? Two, they are far cleverer than you are, foxes, right? And if they see a car coming at them, they're going to get out of the way.
Well, it was literally in the road, and
literally,
and I could have, I would have mown it down had I not stopped.
Well,
I couldn't do that to one of God's creatures, no matter which creature it is, even if it was a venomous snake. I couldn't kill it.
What about the cats that you electrocuted?
What?
What about the cats that you electrocuted?
I didn't electrocute any cats.
Well, you fired some electricity up the jacksie, I seem to remember.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, okay.
A long time ago. It was to get them out of my garden, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I have now put out the official voting scenario. The question is, on the Two Mics Twitter, who are you more interested in, Posh Spice or Albert Einstein?
Yes.
I can tell you at the moment it's 90% Albert Einstein.
No, I can't believe I didn't know we had such a high intelligentsia audience, you know?
I mean, people are saying that you've insulted the audience by thinking that they're not as bright as they actually are.
Not at all. No. I just what I do is I cue into popular culture, and I didn't think that old Albert Einstein was terribly up there in popular culture.
Well, there we are. It just shows you.
Yes.
Coming up next, Sophie Nicolau.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
This is really bad, isn't it?
Who's that?
This is the Arsenal 98 Cup final song, apparently.
No, it's not, is it?
Yeah, listen to the chorus. It's instead of hot stuff is
Blimey.
Arsenal.
Yeah, yeah.
I admit that completely passed me by.
And did me as well.
Shocking. Anyway, let's talk to Sophie Nicolau, because
Indeed.
she's a woman who at this time of the year is either emerging from the shell of darkness or has washed her hands of the whole thing. Let's just find out. Sophie, very good morning to you.
I'm a little disappointed that David didn't play Zigga Zig Ah on the way back into the show intro there.
We did have Porky. We did have Porky singing that at the previous break, so we didn't think we could play the real version. Well, you don't want to go back and hear it. It's pretty horrific.
Definitely not.
But I mean, do you remember that Arsenal?
Mr. Graham.
Yeah, go on.
Mr. Graham. Beforehand, she's not just Mrs. Victoria Beckham. You're usually very pro women and female empowerment, and so slapping you on the wrist for this one.
Well, hang on. If you had been listening clearly and properly, you would have heard me say a woman who is largely seen by many people as Mrs. Victoria Beckham. Not as I see her.
But she's not. She's a fashion icon as well, isn't she, Sophie? I mean, she runs her own fashion brand. She was one of the most successful female pop stars this country's ever produced, and yet people still tend to deride, and I think it's very unfair.
Well, 95% of the people on Twitter want to hear more about Albert Einstein than they do about Posh Spice.
I always found him a bit of a bore.
No, they don't.
You've got a poll.
They would rather hear about what David Beckham cooked for dinner last night and what Posh and Bex did for Easter Sunday than anything Albert Einstein has to say. That is very sad to say out loud, but it's true.
Well, I mean, you're welcome to vote in the poll, which is currently on our Twitter, the two mics. So, I mean, at the moment, it's 95%.
I need to get those numbers up.
95% Albert Einstein. So you better get the sisters on the case and get her voted up. Now, are you a happy Arsenal fan at the moment, or are you, shall we say, a sort of
resigned,
distracted, rather spend time watching Fast and Furious 8, which I've just seen?
Okay, number one, I really don't like the Fast and Furious movies. I just don't get that. I mean, it's just like one big loud noise for a couple hours. So, but, you know, who am I to say it opened massively bigger than Star Wars at the weekend worldwide? Regardless, any Arsenal fan who says that they're happy right now, I think is lying. And, it was great to get 3 points. It wasn't a great performance, but it was 3 points. And at this point, we just have to try and win every single one of our last games, which is a tough task.
And are there not two games against one Tottenham, and also, of course, you've got the Cup semi-final against Manchester City, but you've got a couple of big games as well in those last few, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to play Leicester, Spurs, Manchester United, Southampton, Stoke, and Everton. Sunderland, probably the easiest game, but I say that very lightly this season just because of the way that we've been playing. You look at, you know, the North London derby is going to be the telling point. That game, I think, is going to be a telling point in many, many ways. Number one for Spurs and number two for us as well. And the roles have been reversed a little, haven't they, boys? So many times we've seen over the last 20 years Spurs trying to, you know, destroy Arsenal from trying to win either the Premier League or something, or finish fourth or something. In terms of kind of, having a good season. And this year we're seeing the total opposite. In that game on April 30th, Arsenal have the opportunity to really put to bed the race for the Premier League, to also get 3 points. There's the Manchester derby that's coming. We're going to need that to end in a draw. If City win that game, even if Manchester United win that game, it's going to be tough for us. So it's an uphill battle. I think it's not. I don't know if we're going to do it. I just can't see us doing it. I really can't.
Do you know what, Sophie? I think there's so much confusion at the club now, and I think obviously Arsene Wenger's created that confusion. Am I going? Am I staying? If I stay, how many players will stay? If I go, how many players will leave? But one indication to me of the complete lack of, joined up thinking at Arsenal is that a couple of games ago, Theo Walcott was Arsenal's captain. And last night, he was an unused substitute. I just don't get it. How do you go from one to the other so quickly?
I think it's a really brilliant point. He's sending a lot of mixed messages. And tonight, even going three at the back, playing the 3-4-2-1, it felt desperate, right? It felt... Also, Mike, what about the game when we came out in the second half without a captain?
Yes, exactly.
When Koscielny went off.
Yes, exactly.
And that tells you a lot about the organisation, the preparedness of the team, from game to game.
Yeah.
And you're right. Today, Theo's on the bench. He went for a totally different system. I have a question. Listen, there was a time in this season where Arsenal looked like people were talking about them as winning the Premier League, and it was after that game where we beat Chelsea 3-0. Same players. I don't know if I've asked Mike this before, but it's interesting to me that after that game, Antonio Conte completely adapted his tactics, and he went back to playing three at the back. He went back to the Juve way and the Italy way. With 6 or 7 games to go, after having the most disastrous season in the last God knows how many years.
Last 20.
Arsene Wenger changes the tactics. He decides to change the tactics and make these wholesale changes now, at this point in the season. Let's take a look at the evidence. Defensively, we've been so poor. Why not give Rob Holding a chance? A few games ago, English lad, very smart footballer. I met with him when he was here in Los Angeles during the summer tour. I think he's somebody who actually has really great ability. In other teams in the Premier League, those kinds of players get a chance when players aren't performing in their roles. And Rob Holding held his own today. He was actually better at the back than Koscielny and Gabriel today. And so I don't understand the timing of things. So you're right, Mike. You know, you drop Walcott, you make him captain. You're changing tactics. There's 7 games to go. Where has some of this thought process been throughout the season?
Exactly. I get the sense looking at Wenger now that he doesn't really know what to do, and I think he doesn't want to admit that he doesn't know what to do.
Well, I think he does know what to do, but he's not telling anybody, which I think is a ridiculous and preposterous situation.
What you mean by that is that what he should do is walk away, but he won't walk away because he would feel that would be an insult to his intelligence and his legacy and all that. But I think because there's nobody to tell him what to do, he's stuck.
Agreed. And here's what I found. I didn't like what he said a couple of days ago. I'm not sure how or if me not telling people whether I'm staying or going is impacting the players. How can that be at a club like Arsenal? You know, Conte knows the psyche of every single one of his players. They lost. I'm expecting Chelsea to bounce back from being kind of humiliated by a Manchester United team that everybody's ragged on this season. But again, what did Mourinho do in that game? He surprised Conte. He changed the tactics completely on Chelsea. They weren't expecting that, and it worked beautifully. And it was their best game all season. You come out and you say you don't know. You should know everything about your players, what they eat, what time they go to bed, what favourite Marvel character they have. You need to know absolutely everything about your players. And to come out and make that statement, I think was really quite selfish of Wenger, actually.
Yes, I think that is the problem,
totally
and I think that's what people are seeing. Now, let's talk about John Terry in a second, but let me first ask you, because you're all over the MLS over there as well, Sophie. Tim Howard, a guy that's been on Talk Sport many times, a guy who's worked with Alan Brazil on the Sports Breakfast Show. Terrific character, played at Everton, of course, Mike's club. Has got himself into a bit of bother. He's been suspended for 3 games because of a terrible tirade he had against a fan behind the goal for Colorado Rapids. What's going on with him?
Yeah, he's, we've never really seen this kind of behaviour from Tim Howard, have we? He was really...
out of the blue, wasn't it?
He was a leader. That fan really got under his skin, and when you watch the video, you can tell that he really got under his skin. I think also when you're in the twilight of your career and someone ribs you, it affects you differently. You think about it differently. He's reestablished himself again as the U.S. men's national team #1. Him coming back to play for Colorado Rapids has kind of been working out for him. But what's really indicative is how quickly the league came in and stepped in and fined him. They wasted absolutely no time in giving him that 3-game ban. And I know that someone like him is probably really regretting it. It's not like his character, but that's the kind of reaction you think. Did something happen in the morning? Did he have an argument with someone and he was having a really bad day? Because that's the kind of reaction that I felt it felt from Tim Howard, who was acting a little out of character.
Yeah, just maybe one bit of pressure too much. And some of the abuse that people do give to, sort of footballers in particular and athletes in general is pretty disgraceful, to be honest. And I sometimes have a bit more sympathy for the players than I do for those people giving it out. But let's talk about John Terry. Do you think he's going to end up in MLS as well?
You know, there was Ivor Skolasov, who's a really great journalist out here who covers the league really well, and also US men's soccer really well, was talking about how maybe a couple of years ago there was a huge demand for John Terry. His name was really up there in terms of name marquee players that they felt they could bring in, but also a player that could still contribute to the league and not make that designated player role seem, like it was another player moving here in the twilight of his career, retirement plan and all that jazz. His stock has dipped a little bit, actually, and they're saying, and Ivers was talking about how maybe there's not going to be as many takers. But when you see Chicago Fire taking Bastian Schweinsteiger, I actually think that a team would be very interested if they have the cap, if they have the room to bring in a DP. I think that there'll be quite a few teams that would be in for someone like John Terry. I'm hearing that China is an option for him, but seeing his lifestyle, wife loves fitness, they love the sun, they like traveling. I can actually see him enjoying playing out here a lot more than Steven Gerrard did.
Oh, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, China is reported by players who've come back to be really, really difficult to live in because you're so regimented by your club. You're almost in a sort of labour camp, you know what I mean? It doesn't give you any freedom, and you're quite right about the lifestyle. I mean, what would you prefer to do? Drive up and down the Pacific Coast Highway on your day off, or go and munch around a few paddy fields or something, you know what I mean? It's... Yeah.
Exactly.
Not that in any way that you're backing some kind of stereotype of
not
what's
at all.
In China
not
and what's in California.
Not at all.
This is the same guy, Sophie, that calls everyone in California mad, by the way.
Well, most people in California are mad.
That means I'm mad.
No.
Even Colorado, Tim Howard's team, they could use John Terry in defence. They're last in the Western Conference right now. That's probably why Tim went ape on that fan and stuff like that. It's not just... the Southern California, the LA Galaxy or LAFC. There are a lot of really good teams in great parts of the country here that I think would really benefit from having someone like him. I just don't want MLS to be considered this retirement league, and they've kind of got out of doing that in the last 2 or 3 seasons with players like Sebastian Giovinco excelling and coming here from Juventus, still in the height of his career, and I think they need to make a lot more moves like that. Schweinsteiger's kind of upset the apple cart a little bit if you can, but he's done well since he's moved here. So, I think I see John Terry moving more to the States than China, but
he might end up with some Arsenal fans on the Sports Borough saying they'd quite fancy him there.
That would never happen.
For a bit of leadership. Well, we'll mark this date down.
Yep.
That will never happen, says Sophie. Thank you very much indeed. Sophie Nicolau, the soccer diva. You can follow her on Twitter. You can vote in our poll. Who would you want to hear more about, Posh Spice or Albert Einstein? Right now, Einstein is winning it hands down. This is TalkSport. This is TalkSport. We are the Two Mics, and of course you can tweet us at the Two Mics. Go to the Two Mics Twitter at the moment, and you can vote on who would you rather listen to more about, Albert Einstein or Posh Spice.
Absolutely.
And at the moment, Albert Einstein's winning by rather a large margin.
That's right.
How about this from Pascal?
Yes.
He says, great points from Sophie about Arsenal as always on the Two Mics. I really am at a loss as to what is happening at our beloved club.
Well, indeed.
Stud Marino says, Tim Howard at Man United had suffered with Tourette's.
Yeah.
That's why Fergie couldn't deal with him.
Yeah.
But he was awesome at Everton.
He certainly
well, there's
was.
no mention of his Tourette's in the club's explanation of what happened and why he's been suspended.
No, he just seems
you would think if he had Tourette's that would be in some way used as a
defence,
as a defence or mitigating circumstance at the very least.
Sure.
Ross says, Porky, how are Tommy the Chimp and Ponzo?
Yes.
You haven't mentioned them in ages.
Who?
Tommy, you've forgotten, haven't you?
Oh, Tommy the Chimp, it's underway. It's underway.
He's
don't
still
worry.
in captivity then?
We're working on it.
And Ponzo, is he not the one on the poisoned island off the coast of Gambia or something?
Off the coast of...
Côte d'Ivoire.
Yeah, that's right, Côte d'Ivoire, that's right, yeah. Now, there's one here from Alec. He says, if Porky got Victoria Beckham a birthday gift, what would he get her? Well, I'd get her something that would be absolutely unique to her life. She could have a whole card of Porky scratchings.
A whole card?
A whole card.
Well, it would take her about 10 years to eat those.
Well, no, she could distribute them to all her friends in LA and say, these are brilliant. And
I bet you wouldn't be allowed into America with those.
No, you probably
that
wouldn't.
Be one of those. I remember I got stopped once when I was flying over one of the many trips when we used to
with
live
a packet
there.
of crisps or something.
No, I had some Branston pickle.
Branston pickle, yeah.
Because I refused to buy it from our good friend Pete Myers because he used to rip us off something rotten.
He used to get it imported, didn't he?
He'd import it for £1 and sell it for like $10 a jar.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I thought it was a bit expensive. So I brought a jar back. And, when you go through immigration and you go to the customs bit.
Yes.
And the guy, for whatever reason, decided to look in my bag. bag. Once in a while they do it. And, excuse me, sir, what is this? I said, it's a Branston pickle. What is that? And so it's a sort of, it's like a relish.
Yes.
Relish. You put it on a burger. I was like, well, you can put it on a burger if you want. You usually put it on cheese.
Yeah, that's right.
Put it on cheese. He had no idea. Eventually we opened it.
Exactly.
And I said, do you want to taste it?
Yeah.
And he said, I don't think so. And he smelled it. And he kind of, and I said, look, it's all preserved. I said, it's not likely to go off. It's not,
exactly.
You know,
it's not come from animal meat or anything like that.
It's not come from a farm.
No.
You know, it's like pickled vegetables in this kind of brown stuff.
Yes.
And he eventually let me through.
Right.
He was completely baffled.
With your Branston pickle?
Yeah, as to what it was,
Yeah. Now, listen, are you having any problems with social networks this weekend?
Not particularly.
Just look at this.
I say that, but only the usual sort of Saturday night trolling scenario.
Yeah, but you see, I send out very funny tweets all the time, right?
Yeah, well, some of them weren't so funny over the weekend.
Why?
Some of them were quite vicious.
No. They're all measured and capable.
Failed to send tweet. Oh,
yeah. And
there's one here says something about me being a T-shirt salesman.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, you see, what happened was somebody pointed out on our new T-shirt, which has some of our favourite expressions on the front.
Which is going to be ready to go soon, by the way.
Ready to go soon, definitely. Somebody spotted what we call a literal, i.e. a word misspelt.
Yes.
Comes from the newspaper world, doesn't it, the literal?
It does.
And so when somebody pointed it out, I said, it's very amusing. I said, no, MG is the T-shirt salesman of the duo. I'm the creative genius.
Yes.
Which I thought was very funny.
It is quite funny because obviously you meant that in an ironic way.
No, I meant it in a quite true way, but that never went anywhere.
Right.
And it came back and hit me between the eyes.
Yeah.
So
I have to say, actually, speaking of social media,
yes,
because I can't explain why that would have happened. Others might be able to.
Yes.
Normally, when I find that a tweet hasn't gone, it's either because I've just got on the tube or something, and instead
but it would go later. But I mean, I haven't been anywhere where there's a bad signal today. I've been at both my places.
Well, you might have been moving around, don't? Sometimes you hit a dead spot.
But it would go eventually, wouldn't it?
Not always, no.
Really?
No, not always. Sometimes if it's particularly... Because I find this when I'm on the tube. If you're about to send something and it's got the Wi-Fi on the underground, but you go into the tunnel, and it sometimes just gets stuck in the sort of middle of nowhere.
Right, and it never goes.
In the ether. And it doesn't tell you straight away that it didn't go.
I didn't realise that.
Yeah, that may be what it is.
Yeah.
But I would say the two overarching social media problems that you have, one is a lot of people here say that you've blocked them. And none of them know why. Many of them are very loyal listeners.
Well, I don't like vile language.
I know that.
Yes,
these are people who say that they've never done anything terrible to be blocked. And they don't understand.
I don't know. I'll examine those individually.
But I've discovered a way that I can unblock people for you. So
really?
I can show you how to do that.
Okay.
You can see how people that you might wish to unblock.
Yes.
And the other one is, of course, that there is still no mention of the two mics on your Twitter profile.
On my Twitter profile?
Yeah, and all it has is that you are Mike Porky Parry from TalkSport, and you can also see me on YouTube on my own Porky channel.
That was set up about 7 years ago, and somebody else did it, and I've no idea how to change it. That's the problem.
Is that right?
But I will happily change it if you show me how to do it,
okay then. All right.
Yeah. Now, listen, young Julia, who is a regular correspondent...
She is.
She's
the one that suggested where you go to get a rabbit.
Well, not only that, she suggested that, we can all live in a rabbit world,
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Porky.
She's taking this too seriously.
Yeah, can we live on the bunny farm together, pork chop? And then has imposed a rabbit's face on my head and given herself some rabbit ears. So... thank you very much indeed, Julia. But we do live in the real world here, my dear.
Yes, indeed. Maybe she's been at the funny cigarettes or something.
She could have been. Yeah.
Here's just an update on the Albert Einstein versus Posh Spice poll. 79-21 now.
79-21. Okay. Well, it's getting closer then, isn't it? You know what I mean?
James says this: it's a shame Einstein was used as all great thinkers, where Posh used her mind to be beautiful and live a beautiful life.
Yes, absolutely. Kai here, very clever young man by the sound of it. This bunny investment idea, Porky, sounds like it's a real winner. It has traction. I may get in on this savvy business venture. That's the sort of response I like. That's the sort of response I like.
I really don't think you should be taking advantage of poor, helpless animals.
Yeah.
Paul says this poll is easier than a This Morning competition. Do I win 50,000 quid, a BMW X5 and a Dubai holiday?
Really?
Have you ever seen those
What's
quizzes?
that?
Well, when you watch This Morning, or one of those,
Oh, and you have to answer the simplest question in the world.
But the reason, I presume
who was the
everybody
president
knows
of the United States of America?
But I presume the reason, presumably people, I presume would know this, is that the reason it makes it so easy is because more and more people will then go in for it.
That's right, of course they will.
And every time you go in for it, you put money on it.
That's
and then all they do is they take the money and they give you half the cash and they keep the rest.
And
they get the free holiday from some holiday company and they get the free car from a car company.
It's good business if you can get it, isn't it? You know what I mean?
By the way, I love this new Jaguar ad for the Mercedes chicken.
Yes.
There's been a Mercedes chicken ad doing the rounds, which is quite clever. ever.
Yes.
And it shows a sort of scientist in a white coat holding this chicken and demonstrating the new sort of movability of a Mercedes and how very clever it is and very subtle and all that. Jaguar, and I've never known this to have happened before, where two car companies actually have a go. And it's prescient for us, of course, because you've got the old Mercedes.
That's right.
And I've got the car of the year, the Jaguar.
Yes.
And then, so Jaguar have done a spoof version of it, where the guy puts the chicken down, and then you suddenly hear this growl, and the Jaguar comes, and all the feathers go everywhere, and the Jaguar is basically eating the chicken.
Yeah, the Jaguar animal is sitting there licking its lips, and the chicken's gone.
I have to say, very good.
I know what you mean about. I know what you mean about different brands comparing themselves with others. And the first time I ever came across that was actually the first time I went to America, and I picked up a magazine, and there was an advert for a set of golf clubs.
Oh yeah.
But, something we'd never, ever done in this country up till then. It said this golf club is brilliant, and then they had a series of tests they'd carry out on other golf clubs, saying the other golf clubs didn't drive the ball as far as their golf club.
Okay.
And it was comparison advertising, which we didn't allow in this country then.
Right.
You weren't allowed to put other products down. You could only emphasise yours.
I mean, I suppose here they do things now with supermarkets, don't they, where they say if you found it somewhere cheaper, then you will come to us and we'll
you
refund
save
the money.
£7 by buying, shopping at this supermarket compared to that one, all that kind of stuff. It's allowed now, but it literally, I'm using that word again.
You do.
It was not allowed in this country at that time.
James says this: Roger Waters billed himself as the creative genius of Pink Floyd. Is Porky doing the same for the two mics?
Well,
Plank.
Well, I put it in there, and I was going to wait to get the response from the audience, who largely, I think, would probably agree with it.
I saw Roger Waters at Madison Square Garden, and I also saw something there that I've never seen before or since.
What's that?
Somebody smoking crack.
Really?
Yeah.
What,
somebody
in
was
the
smoking
audience?
crack in front of me, yeah.
What, were they heating it on a spoon or something?
No, they had a pipe.
A pipe?
They had a crack pipe.
Oh, I see. You can smoke it like that, can you?
I guess you can. And I suddenly could smell this very odd smell.
Yes.
And I surmised, I mean, I may have been completely wrong, but it looked like they were smoking crack because there was a little white rock inside the pipe.
Oh,
and this sort of horrible stench was coming from in front of me.
So the gum, wasn't he liable to get arrested as soon as somebody noticed that what was going on?
But in those days, you could still smoke inside the venue. So, I mean, it wasn't like suddenly there was somebody with a lighter.
No, I see what you mean. Yeah, it didn't stand out.
I was smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, I see,
And I then later went to a concert years later at Earl's Court. First time ever. And it was a Bruce Springsteen concert. It was the first show I'd ever been to where some guy came up to me and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Springsteen has asked that nobody smoke."
Really?
And there was like 20,000 people at Earl's Court.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you seriously talking sex and drugs and rock and roll here?
That's right.
So I put it out. Went back to the bar, didn't watch the rest of the show.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you had to put it out then.
Yeah.
Didn't you just say, well, thanks very much for the advice, but
no, they said no smoking. But it wasn't like there was a smoking ban. He had specifically asked for people not to smoke.
I see. It's a bit like when Paul McCartney used to go on tour. I don't know if he still does it now, and Linda was with him. They would just offer vegetarian food to all the roadies and the band and all that, which is fine if Mr. McCartney wants to do that. Sir Paul, actually.
Yes.
But I think that's I think it's. What's the word I'm looking for?
An imposition.
Imposition.
Yeah.
Is it an abuse of your
I
power?
suppose if you're paying the guys, you can tell them what they're going to have to get used to if they get it for free.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got lots more to do, including a chat with Vinay Bhaskara as a senior business analyst with Airways Magazine's Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Einstein, go.
I remember this song, Einstein a Go-Go.
I don't know. Who's that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those bands from the sort of late 70s, mid-80s, something like that.
Okay.
Here's one from Todd, who says, I've given Porky some stick over the past, but fair play, he hasn't blocked me yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't block people unless they use foul language, which I don't like, and I don't think it should ever be used in social media exchanges. And therefore I sometimes find people's, even if they're trying to be sort of funny, but it's badly versed.
Yeah.
I just can't have the risk of getting into communication with him. I'm sorry, but that's just it.
Nick says this: be grateful Porky hasn't turned up at the Emirates wearing your shirt before taking a charity penalty. We've been in decline ever since. Is he talking about the charity penalty you took at Old Trafford?
It must be, yeah.
Have they been in decline ever since you took that penalty?
Who?
Manchester United.
No, that was
sure?
Oh crikey, yeah, that was. I mean, blimey, that was so long ago. That was 2003, I think.
Well, that's what he's saying. I mean, since 2003, Man United haven't won very much. That wouldn't be right, would it?
No, they've won everything.
They've won everything.
They won titles and all sorts of things.
Okay.
So,
well, maybe he's got the dates wrong. Brandon says,
yeah.
I'm just wondering what defensive tactics Mr. Porky would take to not be removed off a United Airlines flight. Obviously, everybody knows that story now, but when we talk to our expert in a little while, we'll ask him what the latest is with United. But,
sure.
I mean, I can't imagine they're ever going to try that again.
I was once asked to leave a plane for some reason. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was, I think they were downgrading me or something. You know what I mean?
You?
Yeah, what happened? You know, in America, you can buy these coupons that get you upgraded.
No.
Yes, you can.
I never bought them.
I used to get a book of coupons.
Really?
You get them at any airport, yeah, and I think it was like $40 a coupon or something like that. And if there's a spare seat on the plane, you got upgraded. And
and you just gave them one of these coupons?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, you could ask, is there any facility for an upgrade? And they'd say, and they'd look at it and say, there's a couple of spare seats in business.
Wasn't that more to do with your frequent flyer miles? And all
no, you didn't use frequent flyer miles. They were upgrade tickets. Phil Finn put me onto it. I don't know how widely known it was. Yeah, but Phil said, get one of these, so I did. But anyway, what happened on one occasion was I got an upgrade from somewhere, back to New York, Fort Worth, Dallas or somewhere.
Yeah.
And
Dallas, Fort Worth.
Dallas, Fort Worth, indeed. And then just as I sat into my seat, the guy came and I said, I'm awfully sorry, the plane's more full than we thought it was.
Yeah.
You've got to go back in. I said, to get me out of this seat, you're going to have to use physical force. I'm not moving. Full stop.
Well, it's lucky you went United flight.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Or else I'd have been, set upon by a group of people.
So how did it end then?
It ended with me staying where I was, and they got some other mug to get up and walk down into,
it was a bit
pig
rude
class.
of you, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. I said no. I said I've had a very long job here. I've been here for 3 days, got a long flight home. I'm not moving, you know. And I made my position absolutely clear, and they could say I was a man of authority, so they didn't mess with me.
Right.
Listen, I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about.
Yeah, go on.
Do you know where the point in history where men and women became physically distinguishable from each other?
Yes.
Has now been discovered.
Has it?
And it was the moment...
Are you saying that there wasn't always a time when that was true?
No, there wasn't. I mean, if you look at horses, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Horses, male horses and female horses, can race against each other in the same race.
Yes.
You can have mares in the same race as stallions and all that kind of stuff,
and
right?
geldings as well, I
And
suppose.
geldings and all that kind of stuff, yeah? Well, the human race used to be like that, and what changed it was the invention...
Yeah.
of the bow and arrow.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I was watching Apocalypse Now last night, which was on one of the TVs. You know that scene where they get up very close to where Colonel Kurtz is?
Yes.
And the natives start firing bows and arrows.
That's right.
Or start firing arrows.
Yes.
And they all think he's a bit daft and silly. And then suddenly the guy on the captain of the boat gets one straight through his chest.
That's right, yeah.
And he's dead.
He's dead,
And
yeah.
they realise it's actually quite serious.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
So this was the moment that the gender gap started, okay?
Right.
Because up until then, the way that people went hunting for food was with spears.
Uh-huh.
Now, a man and a woman can basically propel a spear around about the same distance with the same force.
But would there not have also been, even in those days, certain physiological differences which made men technically stronger than women?
Well, yes, but remember the hunter-gatherer thing? You went out and you tried to capture animals, like, say, a big pig. What's it called?
A jaguar.
No, a hog.
A boar.
A boar.
A wild boar.
A wild boar, that's right, a wild boar.
Yeah.
And what you did is you sat in a tree and you jumped on the wild boar with your spear and bang, you did. And
Well, there are lots of ways of catching a wild boar.
no, that's the best way of capturing a wild boar. So
jump on it from a tree?
Yes, you sit...
What, just downwardly
Yes, that's
stab
right.
it with a spear?
Yes, that's right, absolutely. You
They
sit
run
in a
quite
tree.
fast, wild boars, you know.
Yeah, well, that's why you don't run after them. You sit in a tree, right?
What if you miss it?
Well, you won't, will you? Because
Well, you might.
No, you're not, because you're skilled at doing it. A hunter-gatherer is quite a skillful person. So the hunter-gatherer sits in his tree, and then the boar comes along below.
Is there an ideal height from the tree?
Yeah, about 6 feet is about right, because that can break the ball's back as well. As
doesn't he see you, though?
No. They don't look up wild boar. No, they look down.
Just look down.
Yeah, because they're snuffling around for fungus and stuff.
Truffles.
That's right. Yeah, they are. Yeah. Seriously.
Right, okay.
So you leap out of the tree with your spear, woof, and you get him first time. They know exactly where the heart is in a wild boar, and they stick the spear
same
in.
place it is in everybody else, presumably.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So men and women didn't have to be physiologically different to catch a wild boar, do you see what I mean?
Okay.
However,
I don't know if any of this is in any way true.
Yes, it is. It is absolutely true.
Really?
I found it in my historical journals.
Of course.
So when the bow and arrow came
Boar
along...
Weekly.
Sorry?
Boar Weekly.
Honestly, you're a complete idiot sometimes,
Sorry, do carry on.
You can't take this seriously. I'm trying to tell you about the evolution of man.
Well, you're talking about jumping out of a tree on top of a boar.
Yeah, that's
which
right.
sounds very dangerous.
No, it's what they used to do. Now then, when the bow and arrow came along, a man suddenly had the physiological strength to hold a bigger bow and to pull the string back further because of the strength of his arm, and therefore propel the arrow a greater distance with greater force into the chest of an oncoming animal. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
To kill it and
so the physical nature of men was then that made that stronger. But that's what I thought a spear would have made it stronger.
No, because the spear, the downward force of the spear could be transmitted through a man or woman's body. So it says here the transition from hunting with atlatls.
What?
Atlatls.
What's that?
An atlatl is a weighted stick which used to throw light spears or darts much further than by hand alone.
Oh, right.
It's like a sling type operation.
What? So I can't imagine what that looks like.
Well, you put the end of the spear into like a sling and then whoosh, you woof it off.
That'd be quite hard to do, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, but I mean, again, they got quite skilled at it. But a man and a woman could propel it the same distance.
Right.
So this all changed about 10,000 years ago. That's a long time ago, that.
That is a long time ago.
Because
some Christians think the earth was formed, isn't it?
It could be, because, I mean, modern civilization's about 2,000 years, so there were 8,000 years before that, OK?
Yeah.
So this changed about 10,000 years ago in Europe, and at different times elsewhere. It's normally ascribed to the bow's greater accuracy and faster reload rate, OK? Because when you were reloading your atlatl, it took quite a long time. If a wild boar was rushing at you, you didn't get a second shot, you know what I mean?
Well, why don't you put somebody up in a tree?
Well, that's what you did normally. So... This would have allowed for a broader diet, and it freed people from having to hunt together for safety in numbers when taking on, big animals, like, for instance, the mighty mammoth.
The mammoth?
If you've got a mammoth bearing down on you...
Woolly mammoth, yeah.
You were brown bread.
You couldn't jump on top of one of them and get it down,
couldn't.
could you?
Well, it wouldn't make any point in jumping on top of them. They'd think you were a flea on their back.
I presume what they had to do with those was to try and trip them up and get them down on the ground.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah. Or build a big pit for them to fall into.
Like the way they got those those walkers, the Imperial walkers in Star Wars, when they used to fly around and...
yes.
You've never seen Star Wars,
No.
Have you never seen any Star Wars film?
No, I haven't.
How can you not have seen a Star Wars film?
I don't know. I don't have children, do I? So I don't suppose you're meant to see them.
It's not a kids' movie.
Isn't it? Okay.
Not really, no.
Anyway, now this has all come from the journal I read, American Anthropologist, okay? Sorry, what's wrong? American Anthropologist.
No, it must be riveting. Riveting read that.
I don't know why you find such amusement in scientific documents,
What else is in this month's American Anthropologist?
Well, it doesn't matter, because this is the most important
Do they have a crossword?
Feature that they've done. No, they don't have a crossword, you idiot. So what happened was... Prehistorically, the function of man and woman was equal. The throwing device has
I thought you said this was when it became unequal.
Yes, it became unequal when the bow and arrow came. But we know that women were also gatherers as well as men, because when we found some of these ancient graves. Oh, yeah. Alongside the woman has been the spear.
Oh, yeah.
And the
what do you call that thing? Lateral something or other?
The lateral.
Lateral.
The lateral, which launched the spear. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's incredibly interesting. That,
really?
Yeah, man and woman were separated in their
Can't say I agree with you.
In the expectancy of what they could achieve in life by the bow and arrow, okay? No, it's true.
There's a great question here from Ian.
Yes.
He says, if wild boars don't look up, how do they know when it's raining?
Well, because they feel it on their snout.
You think?
Yes, absolutely.
How do they know that's not just coming from somewhere else, though?
And it's a silly question anyway, because, you know, I'm trying to tell you something which is of great scientific interest, and all you want to do is start talking rubbish. Yeah?
There's another one here from Roger who says, has Porky been watching Rambo?
Well, honestly,
when he stabs the
well, actually, he does.
The,
he would have got that from the manual of hunter gatherer,
American anthropologist, maybe.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, those. I mean, he was supposed to be an elite jungle warfare specialist, and they would have been taught that as a very basic. Very, very basic resource and action on how to not starve to death in the middle of a jungle.
Here's one from Dickie, who says, does Porky realise you're not in a break anymore and we can all actually hear this nonsense?
Well, honestly, I don't know. Sometimes I do all this research to spread this knowledge amongst others, and
don't worry. Coming up next, we're going to spread some more knowledge. Vinay Bhaskara is going to be here, senior business analyst with Airways Magazine. We're going to talk about what you have to do if they try and kick you off a plane.
Exactly.
This is Talk Sport.
Talk Sport on DAB digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Freedom for sport.
Can we kick it? Yes, we can. Talk Sport.
All my bags are packed, ready to go. I'm standing here outside your door. I hate to wake you up to say goodbye, but the dawn is breaking, it's early morn. The taxi's waiting, he's blown his horn. Already I'm so lonesome I could die. So kiss me and smile for me. Tell me that you'll wait for me. Hold me like you'll never let me go. 'Cause I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back.
Alternatively, I'm leaving off a jet plane. I'm not actually going on one.
Yeah, whose version is that? Is that...
It's John Denver. I thought it was Don McLean. It sounded like Don McLean, but it's John Denver,
it is John Denver, but that was originally done by Peter, Paul and Mary.
I suspect John Denver wrote it. I think he did.
Yeah, I think he probably did. You're right, yeah. He died, didn't he, when his plane crashed in the Rockies or something?
Yes, he did, it was a one-man plane. But anyway, let's talk to Vinay Bhaskara. He's a senior business analyst with Airways Magazine.
Indeed.
He's going to tell us what the latest is with United. But also, there's a recent story in this part of the world as well, where a couple was thrown off an EasyJet flight before it went to Sicily, and they were not told that they had compensation coming. Vinay, a very good morning to you. Welcome.
Well, it's evening where I'm at, but good morning to both of you guys.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, you'll be very familiar with the moving of the time zones, I dare say. First of all, let's kick off with United Airlines. I mean, it was all over the news, really, for the last 2 weeks. What's actually happening with United at the moment? Are they going to survive this?
Well, I mean, I think that the notion that United was ever going to be in any real trouble from a financial perspective was probably a bit overblown. United is a multi-billion-dollar carrier, and if you look at their stock, it suffered a couple $100 million of a hit, which makes for great headlines. But when your company's worth $20-30 billion, isn't really going to move the needle.
That depends, I suppose, if people decide they don't want to travel on the plane because of what they've done and because of the viral video that's been seen by hundreds of millions of people around the world. I mean, stranger things have happened, right?
No, you're absolutely right. Stranger things have happened. I think for the moment, United has not seen any decline in passengers booking, but those were incredibly powerful images. And for people in my generation, I guess the millennial generation, those kinds of images can have a real impact. So you're right. I think it'll take us some time to see what the real impact is, because most people that were going to fly United this week or next week have already booked their tickets. Mm-hmm. But where you'd see the impact is 3 or 4 months down the line. So you're right that we don't know. But I do think that I would say 2 things. So first, I think it's overblown, right? It's not going to kill United Airlines, but it will tangibly, I think, impact their earnings. But I think the second point is that it's once again kicked off and highlighted the fact that the public in the United States in particular, but I think around the world to an extent, really hates airlines with a burning passion, and that's something that you see come up every time you have one of these incidents.
Absolutely right. And I mean, when you say this happens a lot, doesn't it? I mean, because people are constantly getting bumped off flights, but obviously from the airline's point of view, it's never quite as dramatic as this. I mean, do we know, for example, that whether they're up until this moment when Dr. Dow was so sort of publicly humiliated on international sort of social media, that this kind of thing was going on? I mean, were people boarding planes and forcibly removing passengers?
Yeah, so if you look at the stats, about 50,000 passengers had this happen to them last year. Mm-hmm. So, the number of people that get pulled off the plane against their will is pretty low, right? About 550,000 or so passengers were bumped, but those passengers were people. The majority of those were people that volunteered to get off the plane. Right. But yeah, last year you did see about 50,000 passengers have the same experience as Dr. Dow, though obviously they weren't dragged off, and beaten to a pulp, basically.
That's a lot, though, isn't it?
Police officers.
It is. I mean, do we accept that when we buy an airline ticket, there the small print on the back of the ticket says we are under no obligation to give you a seat on this plane? It just happens if there is one there, we'll give it to you. I mean, is that the position, Vinay, or am I just imagining that?
So, overbooking and those kinds of situations where passengers get kicked off the plane, that's something that, sort of belies common sense. So, I have a mentor who says, who has a statement that I'm pretty fond of, which is that, life is a series of trade-offs, right? And the trade-off for this potentially happening, 1 out of every 5,000 times, right? So keep in mind that, that 50,000 number is on 800 million passengers a year. Mm-hmm. So it's a very tiny percentage of people that are getting kicked off. And the trade-off is that for the vast majority of flights, some people that have booked a ticket aren't going to show up. And so some other passengers are able to get onto that flight as a result of overbooking. Now, the other thing I would say here is that this wasn't really a case of overbooking. And that is something that I think United got wrong here, is that United didn't kick Dr. Dow off the flight because it sold too many tickets to passengers, right? United kicked Dr. Dow off the flight because it had to fly its own employees to Louisville. And that's a virtue of how the airline contracts are written, right? They can't just, I've seen people say that they should have just put those employees into an Uber, and that would be great if in theory United could have done that. But the way that the contracts are written with the employee unions, they had to fly those employees to Louisville, and that was the real challenge.
But that's their problem, isn't it, in the end? I mean, in a way, the passengers who have paid the money should be getting priority, and there certainly used to be a rule in this part of the world that you could not chuck somebody off a plane
for a member of your own staff.
And that may have changed in recent times. But I don't know whether you've seen, there's a story here as well, Vinay, about EasyJet, which is obviously a low-budget airline here in the UK, flying to Sicily. This couple were told that once they were on the plane that they had to get off. They were also not told by the EasyJet people on the ground that they were due some compensation. So if it's possible for you to tell us, if there is a single rule, depending on which part of the country or the world that you are in, and what are your rights as a passenger when you get bumped?
So in the European Union, absolutely, you are entitled to compensation, and you are entitled to a flight, not just on that airline that bumped you off, but on any competing airline. You're entitled to the next available flight where there are seats available, right? So let's say...
Sorry, let me just interrupt. Is there a limit to the compensation, or is there an amount that they proffer to you, or how does that work?
Yeah, the amount of compensation is typically capped based on the price of the ticket. Right. So you're not going to get $50,000 from a $50 one way or a £50 one way ticket. You're not going to get £50,000. But it is some multiple of the ticket price, and it depends on the country that you're traveling from and whether you're traveling sort of within the EU or to a third party country. Right. But you are entitled to compensation, and EasyJet absolutely should have informed this couple that they had the right to compensation, and more importantly that they had the ability to get rebooked onto another flight, so they didn't have to miss their vacation. I think that's the real harm here is not just that they didn't get compensation, and I think even if you talk to them, maybe they feel worse about not being able to go on vacation. And that's, I think, as much of a cost as not getting, compensation.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Vinny, do we have to accept that part of the reason why flying is relatively cheap these days compared to, say, 30 or 40 years ago, before we had budget airlines, is because the airlines employ these sort of tactics to maximise the loads on their flights.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think life is a series of trade-offs,
yes.
right? The trade-off for having lower-priced air travel is that you're going to compromise. You're going to have, planes that are more crowded. You're going to have less leg room. You're going to have more annoying rules to deal with. You're going to have to pay a fee for your checked baggage. But the flip side of that is you have the ability to travel from, I think I've seen this fare before, from London to, Corfu or to Athens for £39.
Yes, or whatever,
you couldn't have done that 30 years ago when the pound was, I think, half of what it would be currently.
Sure.
Well, I mean, Michael O'Leary from Ryanair has actually suggested the idea of free flights for people that he would only charge for luggage because he thinks he could still make enough money that way, which is an extraordinary situation, really, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it speaks to the power of the a la carte business model, right? So the business model where, you have a small price for the seat itself and then you charge for everything around it.
Exactly.
I think the trade-off, though, and Ryanair ran into this, is that, that's not something that passengers really like, right? And, you can kind of push passengers for a little bit and they'll put up with some pain for a lower fare. But there's a breaking point, and Ryanair has crossed it, and sometimes carriers like United with this sort of situation in terms of involuntary denied boarding may have crossed the line as well. That I think.
Yes. I mean, the business model has changed so much over the years. I mean, Mike and I used to work in New York back in the 80s. Transatlantic travel was incredibly sort of busy. There was about 10 flights a day from each airline that ran between New York City and London, and that doesn't really happen so much anymore. Which way is the business going? Is it going the way of what I think it is, which is sort of 4 or 5 just massive big airline corporations that fly everywhere in the world, and then a few small budget ones that kind of go on short hops?
Yeah, well, so given that I'm an American, I don't usually get to talk about soccer or football, as you call it. I think the great analogy is European football, right? Yeah. In each league, whether it's Spain or the United Kingdom or Serie A, you have 2 or 3 dominant teams that are financially powerful, that control and win the vast majority of titles and cups and Champions League spots. And then you have the rest of the teams duking it out for 6th place or 7th place in the Premier League table. Yeah. I think you have the same situation around the world. Airlines are consolidating, and you're going to have sort of the wealthy, powerful airlines like British Airways and the parent International Airlines Group, and then you're going to have the plucky upstarts, the Ryanair or the Leicester City in this analogy of the world.
Sure. And at the end of the day, we all benefit because a more efficient airline industry makes it better for everybody to get from A to B, yeah? You know Absolutely. What I mean? There are places now you can fly to, which you couldn't fly to 30 years ago, because it wouldn't sustain an airport because there weren't enough budget flights around. So, in the end of the day, it's getting better all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it is certainly getting better. I think the cost of air travel is going down. It's helping shrink the world. It's making it easier for people to travel to countries and places that they never thought possible. But the trade-off is always that air travel is becoming more stressful. Yeah, sure. And I think the airlines can do a better job of balancing those two priorities.
Yeah, no, I accept that.
Did.
Sure.
Good idea.
Vinay, thank you very much
the
indeed.
The answer, of course, is always travel business class.
Well, that's what you would say. If you can afford to do that, that's very nice for you. Yes, but, I mean, with all of the trouble with security now and with all the trouble with... maybe the answer is just to fly in your own private plane, Porky. It's time you actually invested in one.
I think private plane travel is something to look for in the future, because if you get enough people on a private plane, you can probably make it work. Yeah. But we might be travelling on a private plane soon.
You never know. You never know.
This
is Talk Sport.
Yeah. The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down, when you're strange.
Fascinating stuff, that, because, I mean, imagine the numbers of people. It was about 500,000 people have been bumped from a plane.
Yeah, but as he says, it's less than 1% of passengers who travel.
It's a lot of people, though, isn't it?
It's about 0.2% or something, It is a lot of people.
Still irritating if it happens to you. Now, I can bring you, if you are interested, the final, because I only did the poll for an hour.
Okay.
On Posh Spice versus Albert Einstein.
Okay.
138 votes cast.
Yes.
81% in favour of Albert Einstein.
Really?
19%, I'm afraid, only in favour of Posh Spice.
Okay, well, I mean, that's a credit to
It's a
the
snapshot.
intelligentsia factor of our audience.
Yes.
And, yes, of course, I respect their views on that. No problem at all.
So maybe
you can,
we should,
however...
now that we've spoken quite a lot about Posh Spice, maybe
Yeah.
we should speak more about Albert Einstein.
Well, what's to say about him?
Well, there's loads to say. What do you mean, what's to say about Albert Einstein?
All right, well, let me put this to you then.
Yeah.
If Posh Spice was working, then up to maybe 10,000 people over the course of a tour would pay for tickets to go and sit there and watch her work, okay?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think if she was to do a solo tour...
No, I was talking when she was in the Spice Girls.
Yeah, but that was a very small period of
it
snapshot.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They were sell-out tours, so you agree, right? And they made films, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right, if Albert Einstein said, and tomorrow I am going to set up my blackboard and easel at Goodison Park, and I'm going to demonstrate the law of relativity.
Yeah. Well, maybe if you explained it next to him and said, I'm going to explain the theory of relativity rather than the law of relativity, and how it actually purports to then represent the playing of football by Wayne Rooney, you'd probably fill the place out.
But hang on. I'm going to write down the theory of relativity and the law of relativity in my mathematical code, and I
Which
will...
is?
Hang on. I will charge you all £50 for a seat to come to Goodison Park and watch me. How many people do you think would go?
I think loads.
None.
I think they'd fill the place up.
None.
Are you saying that people at Sport Everton are all thickos?
No, I'm not. It could be any ground. It could be Arsenal. It could be Celtic or anywhere. Nobody would pay to go and watch the scientist write out the theory of relativity on a blackboard. That's all I'm saying. It's too boring.
Well, no, it's not boring.
But you would pay to go and watch Posh Spice sing if you were a fan of the Spice Girls.
Well, I wouldn't pay to watch Posh Spice sing. Thank you very much.
Well,
indeed.
I didn't say you would. I said that, and they did have millions of fans.
But I would if I was told that Albert Einstein was going to come and do a lecture, say for example, at the Albert Hall.
Yes,
I'd go and pay money to see that.
I wouldn't. Why would you want to do that?
Well, because Albert Einstein.
How boring would that be?
Well, he's one of the foremost intelligent and sensible and fascinating fellows of the entire sort of modern millennia that we've lived through.
Yeah, but you wouldn't understand a word he was saying because you're not bright enough to follow his theory.
That would be your view.
No,
but
it
actually,
would be my view.
You have
Definitely
already
be my view.
proved yourself to be a complete and utter Philistine.
No,
because you probably think you're smarter than Albert Einstein.
No, I don't.
You probably think you're smarter than all these people who you detest.
I do not.
For being more intelligent than you are.
I do not.
Because you can't stand anything which is intellectual.
No, that's not true at all. I'm telling you.
For you to say to somebody like me, who has by far and away a very high level of intelligence, that I could not understand what Albert Einstein was saying.
Yeah.
The very difference between you and I is that I would go there in the hopes that he could explain it to me.
Yeah.
And maybe I would not understand it, but what I would do would be to try to understand it.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't waste my time because I'd get bored to death.
You'd be too busy in the pub. Knocking down about 58 pints of lager.
I tell you what.
I don't want to see that idiot. What am I going to go see him for?
Yeah, I'd prefer a night in the boozer. With maybe one or two of my journals and a few pints of beer.
You prefer a night in the boozer to almost anything. That's the whole point.
To go and get bored to death by Albert Einstein. Now then, I have to tell you something. Whilst we've been away over Easter, I got you now, boy.
Well, sadly died.
He's died.
Yeah.
And that was the actor, Clifton James, right?
You're going to laugh about this, are you?
No, not going to have a laugh, no. He's described as the bumbling, tobacco-chewing sheriff in 2 James Bond films.
Right, yeah.
And he was 96 when he died.
He did well.
But, of course, when we started having a little bit of fun with Bobcat Bob Bradley, the manager of Swansea, we adopted, didn't we, Clifton James's favourite line from the was it the Man with the Golden Gun? No, it was...
No, it wasn't the Man with the Golden Gun.
Live and Let Die.
It was Live and Let Die, wasn't it?
When it was the boat chase on the river. Yeah. That's right.
It was shot down in New Orleans or something.
That's right, it was, yeah.
But then he was also in the one where they ended up in Vietnam, wasn't he?
I thought it was silly. The other one was The Man with the Golden Gun. Right. And it was when... I think it was in Venice, wasn't it? When James Bond was there.
It was on the little kind of. It was definitely an Asian
Thailand.
boat.
It was Thailand.
It was Thailand. Yeah.
And it was so. I thought it was a silly twist of the plot because there's James Bond rampaging through a canal in Thailand somewhere and being chased by the baddies.
That's right.
And suddenly notices an American tourist who just happens to be the sheriff.
The same guy.
From
doesn't he fall in or something?
Yeah. In the end, the boat sinks or something, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like that.
But he was the original guy who he kept thinking that he was going to stop James Bond by putting up all these barriers on the river, and James Bond just either flew over them or smashed straight through them. But his stock phrase when he saw Bond's boat coming round the bend of the Mississippi River was, I got you now, boy.
And to be fair, that did make an incredibly amusing sort of, coverage of Bobcat Bob.
It did,
which we kind of pioneered, really.
That's right.
Because loads of other people nicked it.
That's right, they did, yeah.
What is Bobcat Bob doing now?
He's gone back to America, hasn't he?
Yeah, I know, but he's not got a job yet, has he?
I think he has. I think he's either, sort of assistant coach or director of soccer or something like that at some club in America, but I don't know which one it is. So, so I can't say that with any great confirmatory joy.
No,
if you see what I mean.
Here's one from Steve, the cabbie. Says, I'm sorry, I can't believe United Airlines will not end up merging with another airline after all this, and the CEO is finished.
Well, funny enough, you and I thought it was commercial disaster, and yet the expert we spoke to tonight, who is Vinay Bhaskara, who's a senior business analyst with Airways Magazine.
I'm not sure.
Well, he should know. He should know. And he said no. He said, I think it was a bit of a blip, and they'll get over it, So we think they will. Now,
so Pixelot says, I thought you guys were saying Bobcat Bob Bradley had died for a minute.
No.
He's alive and well.
He's very much alive and well. Yeah. Now, listen, I'll tell you what I saw over the weekend as well, which quite interested me. All these guys who go hunting often do it on a sort of bank holiday.
Not with a spear, not these guys.
No, you fool. No, the hounds. They go out with the hounds.
Oh, those hunting.
The hounds. Yeah. See?
Well, they used to do a lot of that in Wiltshire.
There are a lot of it in Wiltshire as well. They do it down in the West Country. Now, I came across a chap called Henry Bailey.
Henry Bailey, yeah.
And he's the youngest master of foxhounds in England.
Oh, yeah.
And he heads up the Spooners and West Dartmoor hunt. And they had their last meet of the season. Is hunting then a winter pursuit, so to speak?
I don't know. The straight answer to that. I've got a feeling it's more a sort of springtime pursuit.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah. But anyway, they had their last one, I think it was Easter Monday, and this guy only looks about 19, but I can't find his age. I've tried to search his profile. Yeah. Nobody seems to put an age to him. But what he's famous for was, one of the reasons why he got the job, was he won, believe it or not, at the Devon Country Show in 2016, the horn-blowing competition.
Horn blowing?
Yeah.
Horatio Hornblower?
No, but you know that they all carry horns, these huntsmen, and, and all that kind of stuff, and he's champion hornblower.
Isn't it just the job of one person, isn't it? There's one guy that blows the horn.
I think so, yeah. I think it is.
The Master of the Hunt.
Yeah, the Master of the Hunt type guy, yeah.
Do they still do that business where they blood you and they put,
They cut off the fox's tail and blood your face and all that kind of stuff.
But is this actual fox hunting, or is it the new version of that, which is where you hunt something that doesn't exist?
Well...
like you just do a trail of
you
drag a rag or something.
I was going to say, the rag has actually been wrapped around a sort of dead fox or something like that, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then you're absolutely right, a horse goes galloping off about 15 minutes ahead of the hunt starting,
and then the hunt
follows it. Yeah, they follow the scent and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's what they're meant to do now, instead of ripping the animal limb from limb, aren't they?
Yes, that's right, yeah. But
hunting with dogs, I think, is the thing that's illegal.
Yes, I think it is, yeah, I think you're right, yeah. So, it's amazing when you see these people, and what amazes me, I saw one once. I can't remember where it was. I was in some pub in the country somewhere.
You were probably in Marlborough, because they do
it could have been in Marlborough. Yeah, could have been. And the hunt turned up.
And they wear the red jackets.
They wear the red jackets and all that. And the hunt turned up, and the dogs turned up, and it was an amazing spectacle, because they really do take great pride in these uniforms they wear. These scarlet coats and the black hat, the black hat, sort of, what are they called? Hats, helmets, or whatever they call it.
Yeah, the hat. Yeah. I mean, it is a spectacle, but when you think about what they're doing, it's not something that you can feel particularly happy about.
Oh, I don't feel particularly happy about it, but the culture within it is so distinct. You know what I mean?
And they're snobbish as well. Isn't it?
I was about to say their attitude to it is very distinct as well. When you see a chap sitting on the back of a horse being served mead, from one of the wenches from the local hostelry or something like that, as a precursor to going off hunting, they have an incredible sense of presence and pomposity about themselves. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is not terribly attractive, I don't think. But,
I don't think so.
But it is a magnificent spectacle. I'm not in favour of fox hunting.
No, me neither.
But as a country pursuit, which is often how it is described, if they're chasing a rag, you're absolutely right.
If they're chasing a rag,
I think it's very colourful.
Except for if they're then running through your field, which they claim is their right to do.
Yes.
Because not everybody agrees with that.
No,
either.
But farmers generally have to give permission for the hunt.
No, they do, but
on their land,
you might be some poor sod that's moved out of London.
Yes.
And to find that these guys are coming through your back garden every couple of days, which is not very good.
And the hunt and the dogs rampaging through sort of gardens and little high streets and that kind of stuff. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Hunting is very, very divisive. Now, how about this from James? He says, if Professor Brian Cox can have a sellout tour, imagine what Einstein could do. Well, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Einstein could have a massive sellout tour, even if Porky wasn't interested in anything he had to say. This is Talk Sport.
I'd rather be in the Red Line.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. I've got this from somebody called Bric-a-Brac. He says, hi, guys. I won a holiday for 4 to Miami and £1,000 a week in a golf resort in Valencia and £500 on GMTV. We were talking about these, these ridiculously easy competitions earlier.
I see, yeah.
And this one from Sean. Porky doesn't like getting foul and abusive tweets. He just likes sending them.
No, I don't actually.
It's not bad,
I don't do that. Now, Zufner, or
Zufner?
I can't quite pronounce it, XOOFNER, that's the name of this chap.
All right.
He says, is Porky down the red line, which I referred to at the end of the last bit of the show, with his new Easter bunny, and then it's some sort of cartoon of a chap at the pub with a hat on, with a giant bunny holding a pint of beer.
Right.
And, of course, at the start of the show, I told you that, I had ambitions to get myself a performing bunny for next Easter and hire it out for programmes and things. And it says, Harvey, the bunny, and I sit in the bars and have a drink or two. We play the jukebox, and soon the faces of all the other people, they turn towards mine and they smile. And they're saying... what are they saying? Hang on. I've lost this for a minute. Wait a minute. Hang on. Here we go. And they're saying, we don't know your name, mister, but you're a very nice fella.
Uh-huh.
Harvey and I warm ourselves in all these golden moments. I'm not sure where that's from, but it's rather a nice...
Harvey the Giant Rabbit is from Donnie Darko, isn't he?
Donnie Darko? What's that?
Which is a movie.
Oh,
which is a great movie, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, very well recommended.
Okay.
I could loan it to you, actually, but you haven't given me back the House of Cards.
No, I haven't yet, no.
Are you going to watch that ever?
Yes, indeed.
When are you going to watch it? Because there's going to be a new one out soon.
Well, funny enough, I'm working through it, but it's down at my place on the coast, which I don't get to as often as I would like.
Well, you were down there this weekend.
I was, yes.
So you could have watched it this weekend.
Well, I didn't have time, really.
I'm still working my way through The West Wing, which you gave me. I'm now up to Series 6
out of 8. Oh, OK. So there's some hope I might get that back then.
Well, if you want it back. Do you want it back?
Of course I want it back.
Oh, I thought you'd given it to me.
I haven't watched it yet.
Well, you're never going to watch it, are you?
Of course I am.
I've given you one series of a show.
Yes.
Which was about 5 months ago.
Yes.
You haven't watched that yet.
No, I haven't had time.
I've got 8 series to get through. I've already watched 5 of them.
Yeah, well, you can give me back when you finish. What else are you going to do with it?
Well, I'd just like to keep it.
I
thought I'd keep it.
Right, here we go. Fellas, I was amazed by the cliffhanger start of your programme tonight. Surprise closed chemist never made the ITV news. Did you read that out earlier?
And what was that?
Did you read that out earlier?
No, I didn't.
Oh, no, OK, yeah. People are saying that they think that I'm being trite.
Yes.
Talking about the chemist and clothes. What you don't understand, Alan, who sent this in, is that has a direct effect on my personal health. So when the chemist is closed and the tablets aren't available to me...
I would call that very poor planning on your part.
Couldn't you see me struggling there?
Well, no, I would call that very poor planning on your part.
Yeah,
you knew Easter weekend was coming up. Surely you should... Somebody like you, who relies upon the chemist for life, should know when the chemist is shut.
Well, I didn't expect it to be shut on Easter Saturday. I expected it to be shut on Good Friday.
Yeah, but you should know precisely when it's shut and when it's open. You should have that in your head.
Yeah. Andy here says, holidaying in North Wales, relaxing and waiting for the madness to start. So obviously he's a fan of the Shell's
That's an old tweet, that,
No, but what I'm going to say is, I think holidaying in North Wales is a great place to holiday. Abersoch. Go to Abersoch for your holidays.
I must admit, I've been to North Wales on a few occasions, and I have not found it particularly thrilling.
Well, do you know what? People are very snobbish about it. They say that places like Prestatyn and Rhyl and Colwyn Bay are dumps.
Well, I went to Llandudno.
Llandudno, yeah.
And I'll tell you what I did find, though, was a magnificent sort of country house hotel.
Yes.
But I told you we had a problem there, because it was when I was the editor of the Welsh Mirror.
Oh, that's right.
And we were going up to not only be the sponsors, co-sponsors of the Labour Party conference, alongside Rhodri Morgan, who was the First Minister.
That's right.
But that we were doing a big set-piece interview with Rhodri Morgan, which I was doing.
Yes.
Right. However, unfortunately, the day before I was supposed to go, our political editor and news editor got into a massive punch-up in the local curry house, which was filled with, at the time, all the other journalists who were there.
Yes, and they all published a story about it.
Well, we managed to close it down to a large extent, except for one paper which wasn't owned by Trinity Mirror, who did publish the story.
Yes.
And everybody in London went absolutely mad. And I had to drive up there and try and sort them all out.
Right, yeah.
Don Mackay was involved.
Yeah, well, he was the protagonist, or allegedly.
He was one of the protagonists, yeah. But the problem was...
is Don retired now, by the way?
I believe so.
I think he has.
I believe so.
His wife was a great actress.
An actress, yes.
Still
absolutely.
is.
Nicola. I presume she would still call herself an actress, yeah.
Yeah, and she was in Coronation Street.
She was in Coronation Street. Well, they're the ones who, when they got married, were offered a free holiday by Hello Magazine, because she was famous enough to go in Hello Magazine.
Right,
and they flew them all out to the Caribbean.
That's right.
And got them married in somewhere like St. Bart's, and paid for it all.
That's right. And there were pictures of Don moving around on this holiday, and he was never pictured without a bottle of beer in his hand.
Right.
I remember they couldn't find any pictures of him unless there was a bottle of beer in his hand.
And bizarrely, and I'm sure that some of this has come up before, he became, because of her friendship with Prince Charles, he became a regular down at Highgrove at the weekends.
You're joking?
No, I'm not joking.
Don Mackay?
Yeah. I mean, the fact was, right, it's because she had been involved in a few sort of plays that he was familiar with.
Yes.
I think it started because she wrote him a letter.
What was her surname? Is it Paget?
Not Nicola Paget.
Methven was it?
No, Nicola Methven was a TV editor.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Nicola.
But it was some... Anyway, we'll find it. But anyway, the point is she wrote to Prince Charles and asked him if he would get involved in some play that she was doing.
Yes.
Somewhere as a result of the Prince's Trust. Or
right,
like
I see, yeah.
And he came along and saw it.
Yeah.
And they met each other and they became firm friends.
Right.
And so out of the blue, he was working for me at the time.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Or I can't remember if he was working in London or in Cardiff, but this letter arrived out of the blue at their house, which was an invitation to spend the weekend with Charles and Camilla.
The weekend?
Yeah, down at Highgrove, right? Which is what he does. I mean, it's one of those things that he does.
Do they stay in a lodge in the grounds or something?
Well, no, but it's such a massive house that they give you a section of it, and you probably have your own servant or something. I don't know. Anyway, he goes down there, right? But before he goes down there, he said, well, he said to his wife, well, surely, does he know who I am?
Yeah.
I'm a reporter for the Daily Mirror, And she says, well, I presume he knows that. I mean, they don't, write these letters out without thinking, without checking things
researching them,
but she said, just to be on the safe side, that she would write back to him and say, by the way, it's very kind of you to invite us.
Yeah.
Do you realise that my husband is a Fleet Street journalist?
Yes.
And they wrote back in a very charming way and said, oh, yeah, of course we know all about your husband, Don Mackay. We've read his stories, it's fine.
Yes.
So they went down there, right?
Right.
But something happened on one of the Sunday papers. Yeah. And Fleet Street had to go down and doorstep the place.
You're right.
And Mackay was inside.
Yeah.
And this was what made it
man
great.
on the inside,
and he said, look, you can't let me lose this opportunity. He said they got on very well. He said Camilla's got a filthy sense of humour.
Yeah.
It was always cracking like really dirty jokes.
Yes.
And they had a great time. And there was a couple of other couples there as well.
Yes.
And he said, you've got to let me go down and address the
at the end of the drive.
At the end of the drive.
Yes.
And they went, yeah, okay then. And so he walks out, right?
Well, if I'd been a hack there and saw Don Mackay approaching from the inside of Prince Charles's estate, I would assume he'd gone over the wall, got a scoop, and was coming out to boast about it.
Well, exactly. Well, and one of the hacks was James Whittaker. It was that kind of period.
Jimmy Whittaker,
who claimed, as by the way, and one of the things that Mackay had done was to ask Camilla if she knew James Whittaker. She said, oh, no, not at all. Because he'd always used to claim that he'd known her for years. Big friends, So he'd got all this inside info and walked out, and they were all horrified to see Don Mackay, whose reputation would sort of, preceded him.
That's right.
And he came out and said, look, you lot, just get lost, will you? Just bugger off.
Yeah, that's right.
Get off the grounds.
Stop.
And they were all staring and going, how the hell is this even possible?
Yeah, how did it happen? Yeah.
Remarkable.
Amazing, Don, because I think Don managed to write off more cars at the Express than anybody else.
Yes.
And he was constantly, getting involved in smashes and things.
Well, he was, when he got a bit older, he was slightly better behaved.
Yes.
But there was a time when he was always getting into fights in bars as well.
Yeah, that's right,
And he had a habit of taking out his false tooth. He had a whole false front tooth.
Yeah.
And he used to, the way that you knew that things were not going well, is he would take it out and put it into your big glass of beer.
That's right, yeah.
With whoever it was that he wanted to punch.
That's right.
Shocking.
Yeah, it was shocking behaviour, but a very colourful man.
Very colourful. Now, William
great
says
Fleet Street character
about Harvey. Harvey was a 1950 film starring James Stewart, who played a drunk with an imaginary giant rabbit as his friend.
That's the one. That's the one. Was that The Lost Weekend?
No, Harvey was the name of the film, I think.
Oh, was it? Oh, I know what it was.
There was no giant rabbit in The Lost Weekend.
No, I know what that was.
Yeah.
That was about the guy who invented the Harvey wallbanger.
Was it?
Seriously, that's what it was called, Harvey.
Are you sure?
Yeah, certain.
I thought the rabbit was called Harvey.
Yeah, but the rabbit was a figment of his imagination. The problem was he used to bang his head against the wall when he had this mad concoction of Galliano,
orange
gin
juice.
and orange.
No, it's vodka.
Vodka, Galliano vodka and orange, and he used to bang his head against the wall because he thought he was seeing this giant rabbit. That's absolutely right. That's where the Harvey Wallbanger came from.
I thought the giant rabbit in Donnie Darko was also called Harvey, but I'll have to check.
I don't know what Donnie Darko is. What's that?
Well, it's a movie with Jake Gyllenhaal in it. It's a very interesting sort of psychedelic drama.
The only Donnie film I know is Donnie Brasco, isn't it? Wasn't that a film with Al Pacino in it?
Well, this is Donnie Darko. That was a mafia movie.
That was a mafia movie.
Which was very good.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Now, this is Donnie Darko, which is slightly more sort of science fiction-y, I suppose you might
really?
say.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird.
I'm not aware of that one.
And Drew Barrymore's in it as well.
Drew Barrymore, right?
Oh, no, it was Frank, the rabbit was called.
Frank, yeah, well, there you go, you see.
Yeah, that was the poster. I mean, it's quite a freaky film.
Oh, it looks a bit freaky. Yeah,
Maggie
Gyllenhaal's
in it.
Don't
as
like
well,
science fiction, mate.
It's all about somebody who dreams that an aeroplane engine has fallen on their house.
Yes.
But then you're not really sure if they've dreamed it.
Yeah, I see.
And this rabbit called Frank keeps appearing.
Really?
Giant rabbit.
Sounds weird.
It is weird. It's good, though. This is TalkSport.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
The pressure's on now.
Relieve the itch. TalkSport.
Rabbit, 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 rabbit. You got a beautiful chin. You got beautiful skin. You got a beautiful face. You got taste. You got beautiful eyes. You got beautiful thighs. You got a lot without a doubt. But I'm thinking about blowing you out. 'Cause you won't stop talking. Why don't you give it a rest? You got more rabbit than Sainsbury's.
I'm surprised it's taken
enough of this, haven't we?
surprised it's taken them this long to play this.
Exactly.
To be honest.
Rabbit, 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 rabbit. Yeah.
Robert says, Harvey is the name of the rabbit James Stewart, the wealthy drunk, keeps visualising in the movie.
Is that
the
right?
wealthy drunk.
The wealthy
there
drunk.
You go.
Yeah, there
Could
you
be
go.
you, couldn't it?
Wealthy drunks, eh? Now, that's what I found out.
What have you found out?
And by the way, we're doing heroes and villains in a minute, aren't we?
We very much are.
Yeah, so
well,
we've
not
got-
just about 10 minutes, actually.
Your nominations lined up.
I've got so many, I don't know what to choose.
Right, okay, yeah.
Normally, I'm sort of grasping away at straws,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it may be, depending on who goes first,
Yeah.
that some of my choices are
Duplicated.
proved inadequate.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway.
Now, listen, things are changing at schools. You've got two young boys at school.
I certainly have.
But you better beware because the role reversal is taking place in schools all over the country.
What sort of role reversal?
Well, in our day, when I was there, the only thing I wanted to do when I got to 16 was sort of womanize and start drinking. You know what I mean?
Well, I thought you'd have already started with about 10, hadn't you?
No, it was about 14 actually, but nevertheless, it grew.
Yeah. How's that going?
Well, yeah, it's going okay. The one thing I didn't do, of course, was take up smoking at that age, which I presume you did.
No, I started smoking probably about 16.
Well, there you go. You're still at school, right?
Yeah.
Now then, well, the problem is that school children
Are you
now...
telling me you didn't smoke when you were a teenager?
Never had a cigarette.
I don't believe you.
I never had a cigarette till I was 25 or
Really?
26. Yeah, seriously.
Really?
Never.
Well, if you'd managed to get that far,
Yeah.
why'd you bother starting then?
Well, because I worked with a guy in Birmingham when we were in the Redditch office together,
Oh, yeah.
and he used to don't use that word.
Don't say it.
He used to smoke 80 cigarettes a day.
Right.
He always had 3 packets of cigarettes on his desk or 2 packets in his car.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's just an inveterate smoker.
Yeah, yeah.
And actually, when we were going out drinking all the time, and in those days you could drink in pubs and outside pubs and
And you
anywhere.
smoke anywhere you like.
Smoke anywhere.
Yeah.
He just
Just
sort of-
chain smoke.
he just
I
chain
suppose.
smoked, and in the end, he said, "Go on, try one if you like." And I got so fed up and talking to him about haze of smoke,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. Eventually, I did, and then I got he smoked Benson Hedges, but for some unknown reason, somebody introduced me to Consulate.
You always liked
and for-
menthol cigarettes,
Yeah, about
yeah.
2 or 3 years, I smoked them.
Newports used to smoke in America.
Newport, that's right. Yeah, I did in America. Yeah, but anyway, the point is, what's happening is that youngsters now.
Got a quick one to read you here.
Oh,
Harvey has nothing to do with the Harvey Wallbanger Porky, says Robert.
He does.
He says calls you an oaf as well.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm not having that. So what's happening is that bad behaviour amongst children, pupils,
Yeah.
is going down massively, i.e., children don't smoke,
Yeah.
they don't drink,
Yeah.
they're all teetotalers.
Well, it's good that they don't smoke. Isn't
Yeah, a lot of them are vegetarians. But what's happening is that the role reversal is taking place because stressed out teachers are now turning to drink and prescription drugs to get through a working day in school because they find it so stressful.
Yes, I'm not surprised.
Teachers
at that.
turning to drink and drugs to cope with the pressures of their jobs, says new research. Drinking, smoking and drug taking, drug taking in particular, are at record lows among teenagers, but appear to be on the rise among their teachers.
Really?
More than a fifth of teachers said they are increasingly being driven to alcohol by the stress of their work, according to a survey of 5,000 teachers by the union NASUWT.
Well, you see, they would say that, wouldn't they? But I could say there is some truth to it, because certainly a lot of the teachers around now are very young.
Yeah.
So they're in their sort of mid-20s when they start, perhaps, or maybe even early 20s.
Yes.
And it is a tough job. I mean, as much as I make fun of teachers, it's not something I would want to do.
No, it's not something I'd want to do.
And there's an awful lot of strain and stress around it, and there's an awful lot of, nastiness around it as well as you're teaching older kids.
That's right.
I mean, I have seen in the past teachers from, the locale, shall we say.
Yes.
And quite often they live away from the area because they don't want to run into their pupils when they go out.
I see.
So, like, they wouldn't want to, for example, if they worked in somewhere like Hastings, they don't want to live there because they get spotted.
No.
And I remember once actually seeing one of the young guys that was teaching at the local primary school, and it was a Friday sort of early evening.
Right.
And he was with a bunch of other lads.
Yeah.
And they were in the supermarket buying about as much beer as you've ever seen in your life.
I see.
Filling up a huge trolley and sort of larking about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hang on a second, you're a teacher down the road.
What are you
shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's entitled to do it.
Yeah, but it's not a good example to his pupils.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of kids from the school in the supermarket.
That's right.
And you're kind of going, really?
Yeah, good. Anyway, it says 1 in 8 had undergone counselling, 1 in 14 have used or increased their reliance on prescription drugs, and more than 1 in 10 their reliance on antidepressants. Now, look, if I had children at school and I thought the teachers are turning up for work bladderated from the night before, or even, maybe a
under
breakfast...
the influence of something.
Yeah, a breakfast sherry or something like that, I'd start getting very concerned, you know. It says here, one teacher told the survey, I often think about self-harming or crashing the car so I don't have to go to work. I mean, that's a terribly bad position to be in, isn't it? We've got to get to grips with this, you know what I mean?
But I think a lot of the whole business of whether people take various things or, the culture of the generations is different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, like the culture of, as you say, the current crop of teenagers is all about things which are also possibly dangerous, and they're on social media, they've got phones, they're taking pictures and sending them to each other and doing all that stuff, and they may not be smoking and drinking, but they're still getting up to no good.
Yeah, it says
one way or another.
It's clear that far too many teachers in the job, it is taking an unacceptable toll on their health and well-being. It's affecting all aspects of their personal and professional lives. Now, it gets on to the point you just mentioned. If the majority of teachers are unable to relax away from work and feel constantly worn down and worried about work issues, their mental and physical health is inevitably going to suffer, and they will not be able to give their best to the children at school. When I went up to the King's School recently, as you know I did, because I put out some pictures of the Eton of the North.
I saw one picture of you standing outside.
Yes,
I didn't see any pictures of you inside at all.
Oh, it was inside, but, I didn't want to sort of start taking pictures.
Were you embarrassed to take pictures on the inside?
No, but, I was in the corridors of great academic learning. I didn't think it was proper to sort of whip out a phone camera and start taking pictures. But the point of my story is...
Didn't they only sort of butter you up because they want your money?
Well, no, that's unfair. That's unfair. I may make a donation, but, that's a little bit unfair.
Yeah.
No, what I was going to say to you is that I was talking to the guy who's the alumni, the alumni guy, a very nice chap called Ant, I think I've told you about, and he said some of your teachers are still active within the school. I said, they can't be. I said, I was here 35 years ago, And he said, no. He said, do you remember Reg Reed? No, Reg Reed was great.
Right.
He was the maths teacher.
Was he?
Yeah.
Well, he must have been young if he was teaching you.
Well, let me tell you a story. He was a maths teacher. He was the only southerner in the whole of the school. His name was Reg Reed. They talked like that, and I come from London.
Sound very well educated.
Well, he was a southern boy who got
he was a Cockney.
He was a Cockney, all right, yeah. And he got a degree at Liverpool University in maths, and then decided to stay in the area and ended up at the King's School Chester, right? But not only did he spend the whole of his life teaching at the King's School Chester, what age do teachers retire? About 65?
Well, I would think. Some of them in the old days used to retire quite early because, like all public sector workers a long time
pensions,
ago, they got pretty good pensions early on.
Yes, that's right.
But certainly they shouldn't be working much beyond 65.
Well, say 60 then. So that would have been, I don't know when that would have been. But the point I'm making is, did you realise when you were sort of about 14 or 15 that your maths teacher used to wear a black cloak in our school.
Yeah, ours did as well.
And walked around with, files under his arms, was probably only 10 years older than me. I didn't realise that. I always thought the teachers would be about 20 years older.
Well, I mean, we had some young teachers, but we always kind of knew when they were younger, because we thought if they were younger, we could get away with more.
Yes, that's
so
right.
We used to give them a harder time.
But I didn't realise Reg was still in his 20s when he was teaching me. And the reason why I say he's still around is that though he's retired a long time ago, he's still a very active member of school associations, you know, and as an ambassador for the school.
Right.
So that, when parents are coming in to, look at the thing and all that, Reg can show them around and tell them, the history of the school and all that kind of stuff.
It's a bit like the way football clubs use their older legendary
right.
players.
That's right.
That's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it's a good thing, yeah.
You're not surprised they haven't asked you to fulfil some kind of role?
Well,
like
they have
that.
now. I'm going back in the autumn to address the boys on...
We haven't finished this conversation, actually, because you mentioned this the other day.
Yes.
And I was going to ask you further about the content of your lecture.
Yes.
What's it going to be about?
Well, I haven't decided yet, but I'll tell you what.
Would you like some help with that?
No, they've got a theatre there now. We used to have what's called an assembly hall.
Why don't we do a Two Mics show?
Well, we could. They've got a theatre big enough. This is the point.
Considering that you've done your... you've given them a free DVD.
Yes, 2.
You've given them 2?
Yeah.
All right.
Last year's and this year's.
Well, that's a couple of quid you owe me then, isn't it?
no.
I've told you this before. You'll just go handing them out.
Well,
I own half of them,
Don't worry. I've reimbursed the
I'm not
fund.
worried. Yeah, all right,
fund.
good.
Yeah.
But the point is, right, that once they see the foul mouthery that goes on in that,
well, I am worried about that.
They're not going to want you back.
Yeah, probably not. No.
Some of the names that you call me on that are appalling.
Yeah, but the foul mouthery is very much you in the early parts of the most recent DVD.
Some of it is.
Which has appalled quite a lot of people. Your language is disgraceful.
I don't think that they're going to be too keen on getting you into the place.
They've put it in the library, right? They put the most recent DVD in the library in a prime position. Now, they have young ladies now at the school, at the King's School Chester. They didn't in my day, but they do now. Yeah.
Young ladies.
So young lady takes that out and sticks it into a machine and says, let's have a look at this. He's a former pupil,
Yeah.
They're going to make...
I don't think they're going to be doing that.
They're going to think that, I didn't really learn a lot of English, did I? Apart from Anglo-Saxon versions of it.
Well,
first
of all, I can't imagine anyone who's at the school as a student would have of any interest at all to anything that some old git like you've been up to.
Of course they would.
What
do you mean?
What do you mean? Because, you look at the state of you. I mean, they're not going to go,
no.
oh, look, we've just discovered that, Ronan Keating went to this school. Let's see what he's doing now.
No, what the teachers say now is they say if you apply yourself to your job, you can end up like Mike Parry. Yeah. And then they've got the DVD to prove
there's some
it.
kind of warning.
No. How dare you?
How about this from Stephen? He says, can you say hello to Stephen in Belfast? I've asked so many times without getting a reply on the radio.
Okay.
Can you say hello to him?
Steve in Belfast, hello.
Hello, Steve. This is Talk Sport.
Yeah. The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
So, here we are, another episode of Heroes and Villains. It's 8 to 4. It's time you won one of these to catch up a little bit, just because it needs to get a little tighter towards the end of the Premier League season, I suppose. Not that everything has to be from the Premier League, of course. But Heroes and Villains, would you like to go first with your first offering?
Well, I tell you what, I'll be gracious and let you go first, because as you say, there's lots of obvious winners and losers tonight.
There are lots of obvious ones.
So you go first.
Well, I'm going to go first with my first hero, and that's going to be Jose Mourinho.
Right.
Jose Mourinho, of course, having got to the point where nobody really wondered whether he had his mojo, whether he'd lost it or not, whether he was ever going to get it back. Nobody would have expected, including lots of odds makers, I would have to say, that Manchester United would beat Chelsea. I mean, the best a lot of people thought, and I was one of them, would be a draw. But what he's done is not only, fire up Manchester United and get them to beat his old team. But what he has done is thrown wide open the Premier League once again, which everybody thought was done and dusted. Chelsea were going to win it at a canter, and it was all going to be very boring towards the end. But now suddenly, with the FA Cup coming up at the weekend, it is indeed possible that Mr. Conte and Chelsea might actually trip up and not win the thing, which would be extraordinary. So I'd like to tip my hat to Jose Mourinho, who I have not been a big fan of this season, because I think he's done everybody a great service.
Yeah, but winning one football match, does that really make him a hero this week?
No, it's not just the winning of the football match. It's the fact that he's thrown open the whole Premier League again. Which was not previously wide open.
Okay, fine.
So that's what I'm saying.
Right, okay. My first hero has to be Chris Hughton.
Okay.
I mean, that man was treated disgracefully, I thought, disgracefully at Newcastle, and it was all about big name syndrome. And if you look at the way big name syndrome has gone so disastrously wrong at Birmingham, you can see that it's never a good idea to get rid of a manager just because he's efficient, but doesn't have, quotes, the stardust that some chairmen require. Chris Hughton's done it again. He's taken Brighton up into the Premiership. It's unbelievably special what he's done, and he's done it at the right time, because Brighton, with their great new stadium, you've been to their stadium, haven't you?
I have. Yeah, and I've driven past it many times.
Exactly, and it's a pretty magnificent
the
structure.
Amex Stadium, isn't
the
it?
Amex Stadium. He's done a fantastic job. He's got to be the outstanding hero of the week for me, because you've cited Jose Mourinho really for one game.
Yeah.
I'm citing Chris Hughton for a season-long endurance of success.
Well, let's hope his visit to the Premier League is a little bit longer than the last one.
Exactly.
Which he lasted until around about Christmas time in Newcastle, and he got the heave-ho.
Exactly.
So we shall see.
Yeah.
Now, you might say this is a bit obvious for the villain of the weekend, but it has to be Tony Adams.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony Adams, who apparently has been in talks with the Chinese owners of Granada down in southern Spain for some time. And over the course of this communication that he had, he somehow convinced them that they needed a new manager and that it should be him.
Yes.
Now, we've all seen now, I presume, that ridiculous sort of song and dance of him telling players exactly how they should be running backwards and forwards. Speaking as you've heard him and you've repeated... Excuse me, at various press conferences, talking about, keeping the ball out of the net and putting it in at the other end.
And teaching attackers how to defend.
Attackers how to defend and kicking arses.
Complete and utter nonsense.
And do you know what he's managed to do?
Yeah.
He's managed to get them even closer to the bottom of the league. They were third from bottom. Yeah. They're now second from bottom, having played one game.
And another 3 minus points on their goal difference, because they lost 3-0 at home.
And he also said, unbelievably, that he thought they defended very well, apart from the 3 goals.
That's right, yeah.
I mean, what a complete and utter maniac.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Tony. Everyone says he's a lovely guy, and everyone talks about him being such a great player for Arsenal, which he was, and for England.
Yeah.
But he is not management material.
I think I would have classed him more of a loser than a villain, to be honest, because I don't think he intentionally meant to sound so stupid. But
but you say that, but he's clearly got some high opinion of himself.
Okay.
He obviously thinks that he is a much better manager than he really is.
Okay.
So he's my first villain.
Okay, he's your first villain.
Yeah.
Right. My first villain is Gianfranco Zola.
Yes, that had to be done.
And that is because, not so much because he has failed so comprehensively at Birmingham, where he's only won 2 out of 22 games, right? But that it's emerged now, allegedly, that actually... he was approached for the job when the former incumbent was still in his job.
Yeah.
Former incumbent who's now gone to Derby.
Yes.
Gary
Mowat.
Mowat, Gary Mowat, sorry. Yeah.
Who was doing terribly well.
He was doing terribly well. I mean,
didn't he have them up in the playoff positions?
No, they were 7th, and so
practically.
they were getting up towards the playoff positions. They're now just above relegation positions. But, for Gianfranco Zola, who had failed twice in previous managerial jobs, both at Watford and at West Ham.
Yeah.
To even consider taking the job that another guy was doing, and I'm not suggesting for a moment that he did anything duplicitous or underhanded. He was approached by the board of a football club, and you have to respond to that. But nevertheless, I think he should have looked at the situation and thought, can I do any better than that guy?
Yeah.
Bearing in mind how I've struggled at my previous clubs.
In fairness to Zola...
And then should never have taken the job on.
Maybe so. In fairness to Zola, maybe he was told, look, whether you take this job or not, this guy's out.
Yeah, I accept that. I accept that could be the case.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, I still think within the band of brothers of football managers, the one thing that a manager always says when he's asked about the possibility of going to another club, he says, there is no vacancy.
Yeah.
They have a manager. And I don't think he necessarily... stuck to that policy as adherently as he could have done.
Very possible.
Although I'm not accusing him of any wrongdoing, I'm just saying the tactics of the way that the change was engineered. But,
certainly seems unwise.
Well, very unwise, and as he's come out of it so badly now, the whole thing was a villainous pursuit.
Yes, okay. Well, my second villain is similar to Tony Adams, actually.
Yep.
And it is your old friend and mine, Roy Hodgson.
Roy Hodgson,
you
right.
might remember last week it was announced that he was being brought to Melbourne City.
Yes.
Down in the A-League in Australia.
Yes.
In an advisory role.
Yes.
Well, guess what happened in the first game that he was involved in?
No.
They lost.
Yes, exactly.
They lost by 5 goals to 4 against Perth Glory.
Right.
So Roy Hodgson's initial outing down to Melbourne City has not worked out well at all. He's supposedly going to be telling them all about what he knows about coaching.
Yeah.
Presumably he's going to be telling them also about how to kick the ball out of one end and put it in the other end.
Yes.
But to go from, again, a guy who is 70 years of age,
Yeah.
he's got millions and millions of pounds in the bank,
Yeah.
doesn't really need to work.
No.
Why on earth he thinks he has to feed his ego by going to work for a football team, Melbourne City, which is associated with Manchester City, part of the same owners and all that. Because he wants to probably keep his hand in and hope that he may get to New York City, go to maybe Manchester City.
Yes.
I mean the what I would call the sort of the mindset of the guy to be so conceited about his own talent staggers me.
Yeah.
So he is a second villain.
Right. Okay. I'll do my second
You weren't
villain as
expecting
well.
that one, were you?
Well, not really. I think it has some merit.
Thank
you. Not necessarily
Thank you very much.
total. But look, as you've done too well, I'll do my second villain. My second villain is Jamie Redknapp.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you may have seen over the weekend, I got rather upset with Jamie Redknapp.
Yes, very unusual that.
What's unusual?
I mean, an unusual tweet that you sent out that you were, as if in the business that you are in which you have to form an opinion about a load of things.
Yes.
He is also in that business, and you're having to go at him for doing so.
Yeah, Jamie Redknapp played for Liverpool, right? And he was a very prominent player at Liverpool.
He was.
He writes a column in a newspaper, the Daily Mail.
Yes.
And he says that he thinks Ross Barkley would be great at Spurs under the control of Mr. Pochettino.
He probably would.
Well, I'm sorry, but as an Evertonian, I take great offence to him expressing that opinion because we want Ross Barkley to stay at Everton for obvious reasons.
Yeah, but he's probably not going to, is he?
I think Ross Barkley illustrated on Saturday when he scored his goal just how dear the club is to him, and I thought he gave us a pretty big example of the fact that he's staying and will sign a new contract. And I think it's unnecessarily meddling for a former Liverpool player to write a column and say Ross Barkley would be great at Spurs.
I don't agree.
Well, I'm sorry, but I do.
I think you're being slightly insensitive.
No, and I think it was completely unnecessary, and I wish he hadn't done it. And that's why I sent out a tweet saying, "Please shut up, Jamie Redknapp," which I feel entirely justified. No, he did not. No.
Why not?
I don't know if he's on Twitter, is he? I don't know.
I'm sure
couldn't find
he
his
is.
Twitter handle with him.
I bet he is.
Well, maybe he is. But anyway, he's my second villain. So who's your second hero?
My second hero is Prince Harry. Prince Harry's been all over the papers, you might have seen in the last couple of days. We were talking earlier that Rufus's sister, Bryony Gordon, did a fantastic interview with him in the Telegraph over the weekend.
That's right.
So they put it out on a podcast. It won't be quite as well received as our podcast, obviously, but
no, of course
nevertheless.
Not, no.
I think he's shown himself to be a very mature man. I think he's done an awful lot for the younger people of this country.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been praising him because not only did he say, which everybody had some understanding of, that he really didn't understand his mother's death. He didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
He suddenly found himself, getting very angry about things, and he went to see a shrink about it, which in no way, shape or form should anyone feel funny about anymore in this day and age, 2017. If you want to go and get therapy for something, then by all means go and do it. But the fact that he came out and admitted it, said that his brother suggested he needed help, and the fact that he's inspired a lot of people who may have mental health difficulties, I think it's tremendous.
Yeah, okay.
So he's my second hero.
Yeah. Well, my second is John Terry.
John Terry?
Yeah, it has to be.
Really?
Because John Terry now appears to have made the decision that if he's only going to be playing in the reserves, he wants to move at the end of the season somewhere else, and has hinted he wants to stay in the Premier League. I think he's had such a monumental career at Chelsea that he can only depart as the hero of all time at Chelsea,
really?
without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, he's a slightly tainted hero, isn't he?
Well, I don't think he's tainted at all.
Really?
I think he's been at the helm of the greatest period of success in Chelsea.
A couple of black marks against his name?
No. In the whole of their history, they've never had a period of success like this. And John Terry was right at the forefront of it throughout. And I mean, funnily enough, he will replace Gianfranco Zola, who I've just named as a villain, as the leading light of Chelsea in the Premier League era, because formerly people seem to think that was Gianfranco Zola. I didn't, because he didn't win as much as John Terry.
Zola was a brilliant player, wasn't he?
A brilliant player, but I mean, even Frank Lampard has a much greater claim to be a legendary Chelsea player, I think, than Gianfranco Zola, by dint of the amount of stuff that he won there. But no, John Terry definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. You talk about black marks against his name. Every player has run into trouble off the pitch occasionally.
I think more than most.
Well, maybe more than most, but I'm looking at him purely as a footballer. And as a footballer, he truly was captain, legend, leader, and for that reason, he's definitely a hero.
Okay, well, those choices will be parked in the behind the glass area.
And where's your second hero? Oh, yeah, Harry, yes. That's right.
I did Prince Harry,
yes. That's right, yes.
And Jose Mourinho.
Yes, okay.
And my villains were Roy Hodgson and Tony Adams.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the judgment will be made by Mr. Levine behind the glass.
Indeed.
He'll let us know coming up next on TalkSport.
Yes.
The Two Mikes, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
The day you and I are not the same. You say you like the sun, I like the rain. So before we go, do it all again. You better catch your own train.
William says, MG, you win it for me. It shows that even from a privileged background, your mind can still be in turmoil. Well, I'm not from a privileged background. No, I'm only joking. I know you're not. I know you're not talking about me. Mickey says, surely hero of the week has to be the North Korean missile engineer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, we think it was an American spook, don't we? You managed to interfere with
it
the
may well be.
missile, yeah.
Brunson says, so basically, anyone who advocates for Ross Barkley to better himself and move on, Porky launches a verbal assault on them.
No, not at all. I just think it's an unnecessary interpretation of the situation.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, Dave Levine is here, the producer.
Yes.
Hello.
He's the man who makes the decisions.
Right. Hand me the envelope, please.
Only 8-4. He's handing an envelope to Porky as we speak.
No, it says the winner is.
We haven't filmed this week.
No, we haven't.
But we probably will film Ask Porky, which will be tomorrow.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely.
All right.
And we've got a new Gorilla Grip.
Yeah, well, you have to tell everybody everything.
Why not?
Because it's not. Nobody's interested.
It is interesting, I think.
Nobody wants to know what you've been buying at the weekend.
The Gorilla Grip is a piece
Gorilla
of
Grip.
specialist equipment.
It's not. It sounds like the George Foreman.
It does a bit, yeah.
Grilling machine.
Now,
Gorilla Grip.
this says the winner is, and Mr. Levine has only got one joke. When I open this, it'll say Mike, okay? Certainly. And in fact, it doesn't. You know what it says?
What does it say?
The Porkmeister.
Does it?
Hey!
Absolute nonsense.
Thank you.
How can that be?
Thank you very much,
Are you
Mr.
sure you
Levine.
haven't misread it?
No, not at all. Not
Blimey.
at all.
Can you please explain yourself?
I think, MG, you had the outstanding winner in Prince Harry.
Thank you.
But overall,
as
Chris
Wenger
Hughton and
would
John
say.
Terry, I think, were stronger. I don't think Jose Mourinho was much of a winner other than winning a game.
No, exactly.
Well, if it wasn't for Jose
one
Mourinho,
game.
your team would be nowhere near winning the title,
But
which
it's
of
one
course they
game.
are now. So I thought you might have liked that.
Look at you pandering to the judge.
It's not me pandering to the judge. I'm just making out that you should have been.
I was
cognizant of
aware.
that.
But I thought Zola and Adams were both good. But I think that both Roy Hodgson and Jamie Redknapp were a bit weak. But overall, I think Porky just edged it.
Yes, I think so.
I think you're
right.
just trying to keep the thing going.
No.
It's sort of a Chelsea manoeuvre.
Well, no, Hughton and Terry are quite both strong winners.
Of course they are.
I think
I
they
don't
were
see Terry as a winner at all.
Of course
Terry's been kicked out of Chelsea against his will.
No. After
I don't
his
see how he's a winner.
outstanding career at Chelsea, you've got to make him a hero.
And you can't be a hero after all the stuff that's been going on in his life.
I'm sorry, but you can for what he's picked up in silverware and the way he's led the team over a decade.
Well, I'll tell that to Wayne Bridge.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, but that was never proven, by the way. The Wayne Bridge situation was never proven.
Well, they didn't shake hands.
Well, it was never proven.
So therefore, Wayne Bridge had a problem with him.
Yeah, well, you can have a problem with
that's not the operation.
A workmate or a teammate.
Of a hero, is it?
Well, it is, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much, Mr. Levine. So
Yes,
that's
thank you,
9-5. So you may well still catch me.
Yeah, creeping back.
Oh, 8-5.
8-5.
Sorry, 8-5.
Thank you.
Talking
about catching up, by the way, my other couple of nominees, just to look at it, from afar, I was going to think about Rafa Benitez.
Oh, yeah.
Because I thought, well, blimey, he's blown the chances of Newcastle winning the championship.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because for the last few weeks, he's been sort of hinting
That's right.
that as long as they go up, he doesn't really mind whether they go up first or second.
Yeah, but if you suddenly find yourself getting beaten 3-1 like they did today, it's where was it? At Ipswich.
Which
The,
is not a
Tractor
team
Boys.
that you would have expected to beat them.
No, you wouldn't. No. Then there was that, and the other one that I thought
I had Lewis Hamilton down as well as a minor sort of possibility.
I did
for a
as
villain
well.
because of the mistake that he made.
Completely screwed up the pit lane manoeuvre,
messed himself up
and messed his team up. That's the main point, and therefore lost them the advantage.
Yeah.
But the other guy, I don't know if you've been keeping track of it because it is the season, isn't it, for snooker? But Ronnie O'Sullivan very strangely accused Barry Hearn, who we know very well and we've spoken to, and a guy who's done a genius job at renovating, snooker, darts, anything he turns his hand to.
Yes.
Boxing, his son, obviously, Eddie Hearn. But moaning at the start of the World Snooker Championships that he's been bullied by people and they've always gotten on top of him. and unnecessarily whinging and moaning, which
But I
Barry
guess
Hearn
what
had to slap
Barry
him
Hearn-
down for today.
Well, he would, but on the other hand, I think Barry Hearn would rather he was at the tournament than not, because one of the great things about Ronnie O'Sullivan is that he's at box office, isn't he?
Yeah, of course he is, yeah.
So whenever he turns up and says something like that, whether or not Barry Hearn takes offence, he'd probably rather he was saying it, because it makes everybody watch the snooker.
Yes, that's right, yeah. Yeah. No,
Now, I've got a couple of interesting tweets for you here.
Okay, yeah.
One from Andrew, who says, back in my school days, I once found a small bottle of vodka in my teacher's desk drawer.
Really?
No joke.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't surprise me
And
at all.
Matthew says, Porky going back to his old school to give a lecture. Why am I getting flashbacks of Alan Partridge's disastrous attempt at the same?
No, well, I've never seen that particular episode, so I wouldn't know. Phil here says, another easy win for MG. Even Porky can't complain of that result. Well, I'm sorry, Phil, but you got that one completely wrong, didn't you?
He did. Well, I think people underestimate the sort of, shall we say, the scattergun nature of the judging on this show.
Yes.
You never quite know what he's going to do.
It says here,
or why.
Old William, who's a regular correspondent, MG, you win it for me. It shows that even from a privileged background, your mind can
I've
still
already
be
read
in
that one
turmoil.
out.
I know you have.
Yeah.
And I'm just reading these out again because, of course, these people are assuming you won because they don't understand the deep significance.
I won because mine was much better.
Of my nominees.
Yes.
Okay?
But you'll notice that if I don't win, I don't suddenly launch a tirade of abuse against the judge.
No, of course
or indeed
not.
against you.
Yeah.
He's now claiming that was a tirade of abuse. That was not a tirade of abuse, trust me.
It was.
I could give you one if you like.
It was.
How about this from Tony?
Yes.
I started cigarettes at 24 in the 1984 Milk Cup final versus Liverpool.
Really?
I was a bag of nerves. I only packed in last September due to heart problems.
Golly, that was the... We
Well,
drew that 0-0 at Wembley and then we got beaten 1-0 by a Souness goal at, I think it was Old Trafford that we played, wasn't it? I think so. I was in America at the time. Right, it says here... What does it say here? It says here... let me see.
There's one here from Phil who says, I normally criticise Porky, but they are great picks today.
Yes.
MG, you should stop moaning, you woman.
Yeah, well, there you go, you see.
Thanks, Phil, for the sexist nature of your tweet.
There you go, you see. People picking up on my thinking pattern. So that's good to know.
Yeah.
That is good to know.
Now, what I should ask you about, of course, is the very, very, very important matter of the Champions League.
Yes.
Which starts tonight, once again, at the KP.
Yes.
Leicester City against Atletico Bilbao. Not Bilbao, Atletico Madrid.
And I think
Can
Leicester
they
will
do
it. Yes.
Do you
they
think
can.
so?
Yes, I do.
I mean, you know what? I am very reluctant to say they can't do it.
Yeah, I think they will do it.
Just because they're so unpredictable.
Yeah, I think they.
However,
they will.
I will issue this sort of caveat.
Yes.
I don't think they're going to be. That Madrid are going to be a pushover.
No.
Real Madrid have seen them off several times in finals and semi-finals and all that. I just think Simeone's going to be too clever.
Well,
I think he's going to be way too clever.
In all the reports I'm saying, everybody's pointing out that Craig Shakespeare has warned his players, beware of Atletico Madrid's dark arts.
Yes, I think that's true.
And that's, Simeone is the man, of course, famously, who got David Beckham sent off in the 98
Well, I mean,
World
you
Cup.
say he got him sent off.
Yeah.
I mean, Beckham kicked him. Beckham
Well, he
did
flicked
something
his leg out, and Simeone overreacted so terrifically. It brought it to the referee's attention and rolling around on the floor.
Yeah, but you can't.
It was a hideous bit of gamesmanship.
Yeah, but you
Hideous.
cannot in any way forgive David Beckham for doing that. I mean, you can't say that he was taken advantage of. You just don't do that in a World Cup final game, do you?
Yeah, that's right. Now, much as I have maligned Jamie Redknapp, who, by the way, I think is a very decent bloke, I just wish he wouldn't try and
Well, you just told him to basically stop doing his job.
Well, no, I just wish he wouldn't try and tempt Everton players to leave Everton Football Club.
Well, he's not doing that. He's simply offering his advice to Ross Barkley, a colleague in the same business that he used to be in, and saying to him, if you want to get on in life, then you need to move.
But you see, fundamentally, it's wrong to have played for Liverpool and be urging Everton players to leave. Is you don't?
I don't agree.
Well, with the greatest respect, you are not in the. The church.
The greatest of respect. Did you think you're kidding?
The church.
Why are you saying that all of a sudden?
Which is football on Merseyside and those sort of things.
Well, in my experience, to be honest,
great.
my experience of football in Merseyside is that the Liverpool and Everton fans have an awful lot more in common than they do, for example, with Manchester United fans. I mean, Liverpool and Everton fans, I see more often kind of linking arms and taking the battle to other people because they've been attacked by people from outside of Liverpool. Yeah. And I don't think they would agree with that at all.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid I do. Now, much as I have maligned young Jamie Redknapp, I'd like to say that reading in places on my magic screen that Harry Redknapp might be.
Oh yeah, Harry Redknapp
for Birmingham.
Yeah,
is a brilliant idea.
It is a great idea.
He will certainly settle their nerves for the rest of this season and keep them in the Championship in case there's a danger of them going out.
Well, there is a danger because they're not they're hovering above the drop zone.
Yeah, they are.
Trust me.
But Harry Redknapp and football parted far too early. I think Harry's 70 now, isn't he? We saw him, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago?
I think he's more than 70.
Yeah, I think he is. He was 72 or something. We did a show with him here in London at the Excel.
We did.
And what I would say is that there's still an awful lot of life left in Harry Redknapp and an awful desire to use his enormous experience and talent as a football manager to keep going. And if Birmingham offers him that opportunity, I think it'd be a great thing.
Well, although, is Birmingham now a basket case club? I mean, is anyone who really takes football seriously going to take them seriously?
Well, what you have to say is that the owners tried the Stardust trick, get a famous footballer to become our manager and all will be well.
Yeah.
It clearly hasn't worked.
Having then sacked the guy that got them to where they should have been in the first place.
That's right. He must be laughing up his sleeve now at Derby, which he'll turn into a great club probably next season, a great team.
Well, they're at 9th, Derby.
Yeah, that's right.
And Birmingham at 20. They're only 3 points away from the relegation places.
Yes, that's right.
Occupied by Blackburn, Wigan, and Rotherham.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely.
So it's only one game away.
Yeah, it's only one game away. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that the people who own the club have made a terrible mistake.
Yeah.
Now, either I know exactly what you mean. Either they'll make another terrible mistake again, because often deluded people who are in the wrong business can't see what they're doing.
I mean, if you're Harry Redknapp with the experience he's got and the people he's worked with over the years, he's going to walk into a room full of these people thinking, I don't think they know what they're doing.
Well, then he's got to say to them, do you accept that you made a bad decision in getting rid of Gary Rode, who he probably knows on the managerial circuit anyway,
right?
And if they say, yes, we made a terrible mistake and we accept that, then I think he's home and dry.
Maybe.
If they say, well, that was our decision and we stick by it, now, do you want this job or don't you?
Yeah, right.
Then he should walk out the room.
Right.
Obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yes, exactly.
Well, we shall see what happens.
Yeah.
I was listening to Simon Johnson talking earlier, and he's a columnist for the Standard at the moment
he is.
as well, so they may get some answers on
that.
that.
I wonder, what day is Harry's column? Is it Thursday or
Not
something?
sure.
But it'd be interesting to see what he's got to say to that.
Now, what about the other big game tonight, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich?
Yeah. Well, it's a no-brainer because Real Madrid already take an advantage back home from Germany, so they're already leading 2-1.
Yeah,
they're pretty secure at the top of La Liga.
La Liga, yes,
and I think that indicates that they're in pretty good form. They rested. They rested 3 of the star players. They rested
the weekend,
Ronaldo, Bale,
and
Benzema, I think, were all rested, and they still won at the weekend to keep up their lead at the top of La Liga, although they only played like some poor team, some bum team.
What, no, it wasn't Granada, was it?
No, it wasn't Granada, no. They wish they were playing them because Tony Adams would have gifted them 3 goals.
Yeah. He's got 2 more games left, I think, hasn't he?
Who?
Tony Adams.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
He only had 3.
Yeah, that's right.
One third of his games have already gone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Anyway, Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, you can hear live right here on Talk Sport tonight.
You certainly can.
So that'll be very exciting.
It
and then tomorrow
will.
night, you can hear Barcelona
trying
to overcome the team that knocked stuffing out of them over in Juventus.
Yeah, 3-0 down.
Yeah.
3-0 down.
Incredible stuff. It's all happening tonight. We'll be back, of course, as well.
Yeah.
We are the 2 Mikes.
Yeah.
The point is, right, that once they see the foul mouthery that goes on in that,
well, I am worried about that.
They're not going to want you back.
Yeah, probably not. No.
Some of the names that you call me on that are appalling.
Yeah, but the foul mouthery is very much you in the early parts of the most recent DVD.
Some of it is.
Which has appalled quite a lot of people. But your language is disgraceful.
I don't think that they're going to be too keen on getting you into the place.
They've put it in the library, right? They put the most recent DVD in the library in a prime position. Now, they have young ladies now at the school, the King's School Chester. They didn't in my day, but they do now.
Young ladies.
So young lady takes that out and sticks it into a machine and says, let's have a look at this. He's a former pupil,
Yeah.
They're going to make...
I don't think they're going to be doing that.
They're going to think that, I didn't really learn a lot of English, did I? Apart from Anglo-Saxon versions of it.
Well, first of all, I can't imagine anyone who's at the school as a student would have of any interest at all to anything that some old git like you's been up to.
Of course they would. What do you mean?
What do you mean? Because, you can look at the state of you. I mean, they're not going to go, oh, look, we've just discovered that, Ronan Keating went to this school. Yeah, let's see what he's doing now.
No, what the teachers say now is they say if you apply yourself to your job, you can end up like Mike Parry. Yeah. And then they've got the DVD to prove
there's some kind of warning.
No.
Don't phone your mother. Phone Talk Sport.
Football on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Athletico Radio.
Talk Sport.
If I,
You dirty rat.
If I was to be compared to any animal, it would have to be the bear, wouldn't it? Because I'm smarter than the average bear.
Well, then you're not the bear, are you? You're a rat.
Smarter than the average bear, mate.
Smarter than the average rat.
Oh, you won't stop talking. Why don't you give it a rest? You got more rabbit than Sainsbury's.
I'm surprised it's taken
enough of this,
I'm surprised it's taken them this long to play this.
Exactly.
To be honest.
Rabbit.